Got a party deal down there. Worked the chef office, chef office now. And the wife was the property manager.
Part of how we ride and Tim, Joseph.
The few weeks that you've been gone, yes, I did that. The few weeks that you've been gone. I know that album here.
Yeah, it's just fill out there.
I think so. It was most of it was 30
Yeah, oh yeah. West is close to my
wow, really close. Are you doing anything on this side?
Like the mom I've been bringing up the property guy. I've been looking, but I haven't seen it. It's like I talk to them on the island.
Hey, if you can do it in mainland, that's way better. Yeah, you know that area.
Yeah. I might do some here, but I'm probably Cashflowing coming in pretty good. We're not seeing it. Alright, so where are we?
Yeah, put the outside on the
No, but you started.
set this down.
It's a great place to retire, right?
I got a job to brought me here, but it's a good place to retire.
Well, it's getting colder with your different jobs.
It's kind of pricey. You gotta pay the price.
Want to make sure that you get your stuff. From a property perspective, although property is very expensive here, it always goes up.
Yeah, that's why I bought a condo downtown. It's an older one, but like you said, the vibe is probably always
Just giving away the high Yeah, so you gotta be careful with that because it costs a lot to get. And so if you've got access to less expensive properties,
Hey, thanks for coming back early and on
your
time.
money gets
All you.
buying power.
Just you.
And depending on
Yay! And you brought your lunch. That's cool. Believe it or not, technically we're not supposed to be eating in here. No, go ahead. Don't worry about it. We got staff with us who is part of our program. So he's making sure that we're not going to get busted for it. No, believe me, it's kind of like when we rent these places out, they want you to do what? They want you to cater. They want you to cater. They want you to buy all their food and do everything. Did you know that if you get coffee, they're going to charge you $50 for a gallon of milk? Woo! So we wanted to avoid that. Almost got free milk. Mama said, oh man, I'm going to try my best to get you guys some free milk, but he wasn't able to. So shucks.
Is MIGO open pretty soon? The MIGO Center?
Oh, I don't know. They're hung up on permits like most places are. Anyway, so thank you all for coming early and on time. Of course, we're gonna see a lot of people trickling as we go. But Ray, we need to get started again, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So welcome back, everybody. Ray.
All right, Ray.
Thank you, Richard.
Are you gonna call the iPad winner right now?
We're one of the people in the room.
We'll get through this as fast. So much information to go through, but this is crazy. Thank you, Richie. Richie is awesome. If you don't know Richie, if you haven't got a chance to connect with him, make sure you connect with him. I mean, I came to life with this.
wow. Good choice.
He's an awesome guy, and I get to meet all you other great people that are associated with him. That's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go through this, and this is usually 2 hours of explanation. I'm gonna try to get into it in 25 minutes. So, might move a little bit quickly. Please submit all questions in writing, and mail them to the main line. Sorry, no, we'll be able to get this, there'll be some time tomorrow possibly to get some questions answered. Okay, so what are we going over? What I'm going to go over is implementing business credit and other strategies that Renatus has to offer into real estate investing. Who wants to do real estate? Who wants to buy some rentals, short-term rentals, cash flow, flips, all that good stuff. Now, what you see here, this is exactly the presentation we use to raise capital. This is the presentation, this is our business plan, this is also a presentation, this is also a demonstration of how we have incorporated what we've learned into real life. Now, everything that you see in a square shape is a business. This business is called the 1,000 Doors Project. Anybody want to guess on what that's actually, its goal is?
1,000 doors.
Yes, 1,000 doors, free and clear, or the equivalent in the next 10 years. Now, when we first put this together, Joseph and I, we came together, we're like, hey, we want to do some real estate, but here's Joseph, he's got his business, here's me. Do you have any money? I mean,
No.
You have no money, I have no money. Let's go figure out how to do some real estate when we have no money. So we came together and we formulated a partnership, LLC, that's a business consulting firm, and it handles business credit, also property management and business management. It's called Wise Guys and Ties. That is our company that we own equally 50-50. Wise Guys and Ties then went out to do all of the other stuff. One of the companies that Wise Guys and Ties owns 50% of is the 1,000 Doors Project. And so when we went to our investors, or I should say investors, our partners, we went to find some money partners, people that had the money, and the way that we broke that up is, we told them, okay, we're gonna come in and handle one side of it, the money is gonna come in on the other side of it, and we will split everything 50-50. What you see over here are other businesses, or retirement accounts that have been converted into businesses. More specifically, self-directed IRA LLCs. So these are retirement accounts that have been moved to a third-party custodian, then funding a business entity that is technically still a retirement account. That retirement account can then do anything that the IRS says is not a prohibited transaction. And one thing it can do is invest into other businesses. And so as we pool these funds and those entities invest into a company, they become owners in a company, which gives them voting rights, it gives them access to bank accounts, it gives them access to the books, everything. So it's not something that they're going into blind. Now when they come in, it is a partnership LLC. 50% of this is providing services. That is our contribution to this. We will do all the legwork, all the groundwork. What is their job? Their job is just to fund it. So their money actually goes into the business bank account. So we have full control of the funds. They are bringing the funds. Does that make sense? Okay.
So are you providing them shares, or are you doing it as a silent partner?
They are no. They're full-blown members. They're partners. They have voting rights, and actually a lot of things they have to vote on that we don't have control over.
Hold all questions to the
Yeah.
end.
Oh yeah, that's great. We'll cover a lot of this in the back. So no, they are in here. They have access to the books and everything like that. They have full say on everything that's taking place. Now, these people are not just off the street necessarily. These are people who are educated and know what they're doing with their money. Now, what we did is our goal was $400,000 for this company, and we wanted to do that. We thought it might take 6 months. We ended up being able to raise that $400,000 in only 32 days. So what we did was we had these two properties in mind. Now, this is a rental long-term project. we had these two properties already under contract from one of our other businesses. We were looking at a duplex that was only gonna be $160,000 and a triplex that was $220,000. That's what we had it under contract for. The duplex, it was currently worth $200,000. The triplex was worth $280,000. So there's already built-in equity. We did this because we were purchasing both of these from the same investor. He's in his 70s, he's tired of being a landlord. He was ready to move it. He was intrigued by what we were putting together. And he was also intrigued that he didn't have to use realtors, he didn't have to go through any hassles, and it was just gonna be a cash sale to us. He liked that, so that was worth the discount. We had these in mind, but we hadn't fully executed. But when we pitched this idea to our partners, this is what they bought into. This exact presentation is exactly what we showed. Now, keep in mind, remember, I'm running through this really fast. One thing that we talked about was our ability to build business credit on each entity. In 6 to 12 months, being able to access $50,000 in lines of credit helps reduce risk, and everything is directly correlated to risk. What is one of the biggest problems on owning rental properties? Well, appliances going out, or the roof needs repair, or tenant damages it. You have to keep all your cash flow in reserve, but what if your rental property has its own credit cards? What if it has its own lines of credit to be able to access materials for rehabs and things like that? That is the power behind this. So one thing that they're getting into is our knowledge of how to do this. And so each entity itself is going to start establishing a track record for credit. Not only to mitigate risk here, but for down the line funding. Each take let's see. So now that we're there, we also have to attach liability insurance, renters insurance. The green is money that's going to be accessible, red is funds that are going out, and blue is kind of neutral. So we require renters to have insurance, we have liability on each business. Also down here, we have an umbrella insurance policy to kind of catch everything that was missed. Life insurance. So in Renatus, there's a class that talks about how to overfund life insurance policies, starting to create your own banking system. And also, what happens if one of us doesn't make it across the Pacific? Or we both travel together all the time. They need to have funds in place that can bring in new management and offset the risk of the company. We reduce the risk to as little as possible for them to feel comfortable bringing their funds here. This property is not going to have any debt. That property is not going to have any debt. There is not a lot of risk here. Taxes and maintenance is something we're going to have to budget for and plan for and save for. Now, since there is no debt, basically after we budget for taxes and maintenance, then we have cash flow that will be coming off of these property. $1,667 off of the triplex and $1,172 that will come back off of these properties. These come back into the main company. Then that gets split up, and that is considered profit. So $1,400 goes out to us, $1,400 goes back out to the investors, and it gets divvied up by their percentage of ownership. It is considered profit. It is not necessarily considered payback of their investment. The goal was to get a large, just keep expanding. But how can we do that without pulling in more funds from our original investors? Well, the great thing is this property has the three things that are required: cash flow, collateral, and credit. 6 to 12 months is going to have banking financial track records of income coming in. It's going to have an asset that's owned free and clear, and it so it has the cash flow, the collateral, and the credit. The great thing about this company is the sole owner of 2 more properties. This company has cash flow, collateral, and credit. It is controlling all of that. So this, in a very short amount of time, is going to be able to start accessing a large amount of funds. At any time, we could pull equity from these properties, but the more that we have a credible track record, the better terms we're going to be able to get. So, as we're moving through this process, and we build, and once we get a good credit rating, then that's when we gotta pull some equity out and go for a down payment. We use non-recourse collateral loans. That's what we use to pull some equity out of the property for if we're looking at a property, this is a $1 million apartment complex. We're gonna need $250,000 for a down payment. That will be its own entity as well. Now, the other funds are gonna come from non-recourse commercial loans. We are gonna actually use that as the apartment complex itself as a way to purchase itself. So it's a company, it's producing funds and money, and its track record, its rent rolls. That is a qualifier for funding. So
Ray, to put this in Hawaiian terms, I think everybody just needs to add a 0 to all your numbers.
yes, okay, so yeah, this 12 unit would be 10 million. I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah, yes. Yeah, you do just these are just general practice terms. Adjust it for your local market. So if you guys, Tucson, we got some cheap real estate. Okay, now the other thing that takes place, building business credit on here, liability insurance, renter's insurance, but that's when we start to implement velocity banking because debt has not been introduced until this point. We had some small credit lines, that were being used, but those just get paid off with the monthly cash flow. That's when we really start to implement velocity banking. Joseph's going to go over velocity banking if you don't know exactly what that is. Sweep strategies, he's going to go over a model of that as soon as I'm finished with this. So that's when we start to hack down this debt. So velocity banking uses business lines of credit cash flow from the property to transfer amortized interest into, being able to offset that and really affect it in a simple interest form, which has the effect of aggressively paying it down to one-third of the time. I'm moving to this really quick, and I'll explain all that in a minute.
Just 1
Joseph's
second,
really
can you
gonna-
say the last sentence again, please?
Yeah, read that sentence right there on the bottom.
Okay, velocity banking uses business lines of credit and cash flow from the property to transfer the amortized interest into simple interest, which has the effect of aggressively paying down the principal in 1/3 of the time. It's really just using bank products against itself to hack down loans quicker. That's really what it is, and we'll go into that in a minute. We're gonna dive into that training for you, so you understand what that is. But the power behind this is, if you're using a self-directed retirement account, and am I gonna be on the hook for all this? No. How do we leverage this? We have to protect these accounts. They can't personally be involved in any of this situation. So even if this LLC had its own rental, you can't intermix your personal with your retirement funds. That's a prohibited transaction, can dissolve the account. Fees, penalties, all sorts of stuff. We also needed to create separation and protection. Everything here is a square. What's great about this is there's so many safeguards.
Wow.
This, let's say anything happens, we can cut it off and keep it separate from everything else. What if we needed some funds? Because our goal is in 5 years to be able to pay back, well actually let me get there in just a second. Before I get there, if anything happens, we can always separate it out. Now, what do we have here? We have all this debt, we're implementing velocity banking, so we gotta make sure that we pay this loan, we gotta pay these loans. Anything that is left over, so after we pay these loans, will come back. And that's why we wanna start implementing velocity banking right away so we can really start to hack down that debt as fast as possible. All investment capital is to be paid back in 5 years through selling of properties or taking out loans against the death benefits or life insurance policies, or we can just sell entities actually. We were talking about shelf corporations earlier. What if we were to just take this property out and put it into a new business? A business that has financial track records for 3 to 5 years, has a long track record of cash flow, collateral, and credit. What is that worth? If it had credit lines, it was lendable, would somebody buy that? Could you set up a note for that? Could you trade ownership? Hey, we'll sell you this, but we want 50% ownership of it. There's so many options when it comes to business credit. It's crazy. Creating entities with lines of credit, it's literally leveraging other people's money. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, so I went through this super fast, but we really went into depth.
Can I ask you just a couple of
Yes.
questions? First question, why is there 50K next to business credit on all of those?
Well, we were talking about that, how it takes 6 to 12 months to build $50,000 lines of credit for that business. That's just the starting point. Once you get to that point, then the lending ability becomes even easier. So where SBA loans require 2 to 3 years to really be able to receive those funds, once you have a business track record, you have collateral, you have credit, there's a secondary market that nobody even thinks about. SBA loans are just basically backed by the SBA. They're not the ones that actually create that. There's a whole secondary market where people lend just on credit. They lend just on cash flow. They lend just on collateral. They lend just on real estate. There's so many people out there that are looking to put money to work. We have 27 different ways that businesses can get funded with just using one of those 3 things. And that's something we'll dive into tomorrow, actually. Yeah. So tomorrow there's a special training in the evening. What time was that? 7 to 9?
7 to 9.
7 to 9. And then we'll tell you a little bit more about that later and how you can get into that. These are the classes that we had taken and implemented into that strategy. So we have velocity banking, tax and legal, how to structure that, self-directed IRAs. Is it important to understand how to use somebody's retirement account? Yes. The cool thing about Renatus is it's my credibility. These are practitioner instructors. These are people that are true professionals. You know, the self-directed IRA, that's taught by the #1 IRA attorney in the country. He's got the #1 IRA handbook. That's the guy. And then with Renatus, it's not just, you just watch this class. There's pre-tests, there's post-tests, and then the passing grade is 100%. So when I show my investors that, hey, I took a class, I got 100% with the #1 IRA attorney in the country, and he's our attorney that's going to be setting this up. What is their level of confidence? Because it's not me anymore. It's using the system. McDonald's, it's a system. And it's such a good system that teenagers can run it. It's out, and they own most real estate in the world. Out of any other company. Business credit, huge. This is just one class, and this is just the classes that we incorporate. Over 30 classes into that one business model. There's over 60 classes in Renatus. Rentals, contracts, contract for fee, commercial real estate, financial strategies, credit management, credit repair, foundations of real estate, deal of the decade, real estate red flags, creative acquisitions, fix and flip. Remember, there's over 30 instructors that teach all these specialties. Multifamily negotiations, private hard money, raising money in partnerships, and these aren't just little YouTube videos. These are full-blown, like I said, tests, workbooks. It's so much, and it takes time. But that's the power. Real estate is a true profession. It is. It's kind of one of these things. It's just mind-boggling how people think that they can just get it done in 3 days. It's not even an administrative assistant can be ready to go in 3 days. So how can we handle hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars of transactions, retirement funds, and all these legalities and get it done in a boot camp? It's insane. It took me 18 months of diligent studying before we really started even thinking about expanding here. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't make a lot of money before that. I made a lot of money because there's a lot of money to be made in real estate. But if you want to do it the right way. And today, you know, we haven't lost a single penny in any of our deals. We've done 18 deals so far. We've got Cashflowing rentals, and I know people that have jumped the gun, and unfortunately, they're going under. So that's what Renatus is. And you were like, well, okay, I heard about this Renatus. What is this? So there's a lot of different ways to get started. You can get started in just the essentials. So 10 full day classes is live online, or you can actually fly to the mainland and attend a class live. Richie brings out instructors out here. I know you guys got, what's his name? Brian Sump, who's coming. Make sure you're in that room. Do not miss it. Weekly group coaching. You can download everything. So if you're out there working, driving, turn your automobile into a
mobile university.
Yeah, it's a mobile university. 12-month redemption. So you only get it for a year. Oh wait, they actually extend it and you get it for as long as the Renatus is around. You don't actually lose it. Any classes they add to it, you get. They've added, I think, 17 classes since I started. I never had to pay another penny. If you go to university, are they going to charge you for each time you want to take the class? Anytime there's a change, laws change, everything changes. Here's the updates. And you also get another person, 2 people, go together. There's also the advanced, where you get some of our advanced strategies. You know, you get to pick 2, like say fix and flip and buy and hold, because we cover notes, commercial. There's so much stuff that we cover. Now, I just want to make sure that I get out there, because some of you are asking, like, hey, what is this Renata's thing? What do I recommend and what did I do? I knew I was going to do real estate. There was no doubt in my mind I was doing real estate, so I went for the whole enchilada. It was everything that they had, and I did it for life. It cost me 20 grand. It was a deal. Because, like some of you are like, oh man, 20 grand. That's a lot of money. I don't know. It's easy to make 20 grand on a fix and flip. But
Well,
make sure you're doing it right.
But now you control $1.25 million worth of properties across the state of Arizona?
Is that a good deal? I would do that all day long, because I went to the University of Arizona and my return was nowhere close. You guys have UHF, University of Hawaii?
Yeah.
Okay, I looked this up last night and I was like, okay, I'm curious how much it costs. So 4 years with low income, with financial aid, after 10 years loan payment, $119,000.
Except for out of state.
Huh?
That out of state.
I don't know. That's low income with financial aid. No financial aid is projected somewhere around $183,000. I don't know, I got this off of their website.
This is what they say it costs to go
Yeah.
to their
Because what
college.
they're factoring in is probably housing and food and all that good stuff. That's crazy. I mean, I'm not talking down on education, but education is very important. It is very, very important. So it's what do you want to do? If you want to take that path, that's a path that you should take. If you see a path in real estate, then find the best path. There's educations out there that cost $180,000 for real estate. I haven't taken them. I got everything I needed for 20, and I find that's a super deal. Okay, so that is, I believe Renatus. I love Renatus to the core. It's changed my life. If you want to know more about this, because when I started, I didn't have it in mind. Great thing is there's no money. If you want to do it, we'll help you find the money. Money's not the problem. And frankly, it's just like if you want to go to, nobody has that to go to university. You raise the money. That's what we do. So I love it, and I encourage you guys, if real estate's your thing, this is the only thing I can speak to that I've had massive success with. Next, I want to talk a little recap real quick about what we learned this morning.
This is just one of the classes.
This is just one of the classes. Business credit, I mean, well over $20,000 I've raised from business credit. Would you spend $20,000 to get $50,000? No. And that's just one class. And that's just one class. Oh, here. So now we're going to talk about how to pick pumpkins. No, I wanted to recap because we got a little bit behind. And so that's why I kind of wanted to rush through some of these things, because these things I feel are very, very valuable, but I want to get to all this before the day is over. I'm just going to recap what we learned today using the system that we use for building business credit. Now, this is a system that we use for ourselves and our office staff. They needed a systematic way to build business credit. It's
Genius.
who's used TurboTax? Okay. Who's used an accountant, a CPA? I've used both. I've done it both. So it's one of those things that there's the do-it-yourselfers, but there's also the ones that, hey, I know it's out of my league. I'm always going to use professionals. I used to be a do-it-yourselfer. Now I know I shouldn't be doing it, because it ends up costing me more headaches than it's worth, and it costs more money. This is just the professionals. So you can do it yourself. Taking the Renatus class is going to show you how to do it. But if you need to hire the professionals, that's available to you too. This is our business, our partnership with Credit Suite. And there's a team of financial advisors, loan officers that are dedicated to helping you build your business credit. It can become a lot to do, and so it's one of those things. You can do it yourself or hire professionals. Now, I'm just going to show you this really quick and walk you through what we learned today. There's 7 steps. Everything that we talked about today goes along with what our program has. Now, this is in addition to what Renatus. This is not Renatus here. This is something separate. The instructor of the one class has a company that we have a partnership with. Does that make sense? This is not necessarily Renatus. So it's like there's a tax and legal class. It will show you how to qualify the right professionals. And so you can either go do it yourself, or you hire an accountant, or you hire an attorney. Does that make sense? This is business credits professionals. It just walks you through the steps. Business name, business address, business entity. We don't want to keep scrolling down.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the side. I'm following you right there. All right. You
All right,
did a
so
great job, right?
everything we talked about today, business name, business address, business entity, there's training videos that go along with this. Everything we showed you today is in here. Like that's, you guys, we downloaded a lot of information. Did you guys learn something about business setup today? Okay, perfect. 411 listing. So we talked about that. We have a place in there where you just put your information in and we submit it for you. That's a powerful thing right there. It's all in one. You enter in your information and your advisor and your team works with you to make sure you're on track. You have to place the orders. You have to still set up your entity with like an attorney, or if you're going to do it yourself. You still have to do a lot of those things, but when you go to file all your paperwork, we're going to make sure that you have everything right. Then when you're actually setting up your accounts, then when you're going through this and that, and the 411, all these things that we talked about today that can cost you extra stress, headaches, and time and money, well, here we go. You need a business phone number. This will train you how to do it. Then you enter in your business phone number down here. Each little step is like this. You know, your fax number. Here you go. So you want to be submitted to the National 411, you just click yes and we'll send you through. So as you keep going down, then there's resources on each page. You know, we'll put your business information in there. But then we have no partnership with these, we just find success with them. So we'll say, hey, go check out Vonage, go check out Freedom Voice, Ring Central, see which one works good for you. So these are places you can go to get inexpensive business phone numbers. Each page will give you resources. And we take you through your website, your email, your business, your bank account. We take you through everything that we talked about today. After we finish that, what was the next step? After we got the credibility aspect, what was next? After we get all the foundational parts, DUNS number. That's right. So now we got to establish the business reports. As we go to establish our business reports, well, there's the whole chapter on Dun & Bradstreet. What do you say to Dun & Bradstreet? What shouldn't you say to Dun & Bradstreet? You actually get on a coaching call with our team to talk about really how to say no. And they're going to say your profile's incomplete. They're going to use all their tactics to try to gather all the information. And it's okay that your profile's incomplete. They're going to tell you it's not. They're going to tell you that you can't get your DUNS number, which is all not true. Business experience, business cycle tax, and then how to fix any credit issues. That's a whole other aspect. And you're working with our team the whole time. Normal business hours, you have access. You can call in and get help from any of the team. After hours, you can submit a help ticket where we can get back to you in the morning after we have time to evaluate it. Anybody that speaks Spanish, right now we're just English and Spanish, but the whole site, even our team is bilingual. So that's what's really cool. Everything, even the videos, get transcribed into Spanish. Next, we go into building business credit, the tier 1 accounts, which are continuously being updated. And so these are the underwriting guidelines. Which accounts are they? How do you apply? Where do you apply? Do you have to print it? Do you have to email it? Do you have to call? All those things that we talked about, how it's like, that's the whole aspect of what makes this so hard, is getting those accounts in place. Where are we at? Lost track. Okay, so there's 4 rounds of building. The other thing that we didn't talk about is business monitoring. Business monitoring is huge. You're gonna have to check your credit reports. Going to each individual bureau to check your credit reports can become very expensive. $150 at Dun & Bradstreet to pull a report. There's different programs you can get on, like a yearly thing, and sometimes it's $100 a month. Business Experience and Equifax, they range from 50 to, yeah, $50 to $90, depending on what type of thing. I'm just using this as really like a review and a recap of what we did today, so we can kind of, because we broke for lunch, and I just wanted to refresh what we talked about.
And this is one of the businesses that we're working on.
This is one of, yeah, this is one of our businesses, and it just helps us keep track. Does that make sense? And this is something that, you know, a little bit later, if you guys want to check out, you know, hey, what is this? First and foremost, before you even get to this level, I want you guys to be educated on it. I mean, at least the basics, because before, this is like when you're going to set up a business. That's not necessarily the first step. That's not the first step. First, you got to figure out even why you're setting up a business. But we'll help you do it the right way. That's the power of it. What?
You're on step 5.
Oh, step 5, sorry. Then, building business credit tier 2, those accounts. Who do you go to apply for? How do you apply for them? Then round 3, then round 4. We also talk about other credit lines and credit cards that you can get that, now some of you are like, well, show us. That's how we make our money, let's be honest. I mean, there's a substantial amount of work that goes into tracking this data. Data is big business. Who? Remember, 3 to 7% of companies report. That is the gold. How do you find out who those companies are in the underwriting guidelines? That is the true gold, and that is what's so hard. This is our system. If you need this, I first want you guys to get educated on other aspects of how to grow your business first. But I want to show you something cool, because there's a couple of you that are like I was, the do-it-yourselfers, or there's some of you that have actually been part of this program before with Megan Christensen. And there's a period of time. You build your business credit, then it's like 2 or 3 years later, you're starting more businesses, and the old accounts are out of date. And you're like, well, those ones aren't even reporting anymore. The ones I used, you know, a year ago are not even reporting. So who do I actually go to? So this is really cool. On Amazon, are we live? Yeah. On Amazon, if you search Business Credit Playbook, which is what we talked about today, Business Credit Playbook, then you can find this book. Okay.
Oh, you come up 3rd. There you are.
3rd. Holy smokes, $250. Now, why would somebody charge $250 for a book? This is the Business Credit Playbook. You can get it pretty quickly on Amazon. It's on Prime, and it ships fast. This edition was printed Monday. These are current, up to date, and so a year from now, when maybe some of them are not reporting anymore, we're gonna have to change. But this is absolutely, this is the first time that we've had books in a presentation. We've just been working on it for the last year. Now, why is this so expensive? It's like a textbook. If you want to scroll down a little bit, I'll just read what it says here.
Okay.
Okay.
Working on it. Sorry.
Get approved for $50,000 or more in business credit without giving a personal guarantee. Heard that before? This is not just another book on building business credit. This book is the definitive step-by-step guide to building real business credit fast. Included in this book are 30 business credit sources with specific underwriting guidelines. Do you need to know exactly who reports and when? What are their specific requirements to get approved? Where and how to apply? Are you looking for the starter net 30 vendor accounts, revolving store credit, the fleet credit, the high limit cash credit cards? Your search is over. With this business credit playbook in your hands, you'll have the winning strategy for your business success.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
Such a good writer.
We basically took everything that we paid $6,000 for in that program. We paid $6,000 to learn how to build our business credits. We put that all into a book on how to actually do it. Now, do you get the financial team, the financial advisors? No. Do you get the access to the discounted credit monitoring? No. Do you get the 411? No. But for some of you that are the, hey, no matter what, I'm always going to do it myself. This is the, either I've done it before and need the current updated versions, or I'm always going to do it myself and not hire professionals. Frankly, what's going to happen is you guys get the book, you're going through it, you're going to run into some obstacles, and then that's the cool thing. If you guys get the book and you ever want to come back and work with us, you get that credit towards the program. So it's not like you ever wasted those funds. And something we talked about earlier, we only brought 25 books, so if you guys want to get the book today, $197. $197, and that's available to you. Also, I believe Mr. Joseph is now going to come up and review a test.
No, I'm going to do a training.
Oh, we're not going to do the test yet. That's right.
I'll test them at the end and see if they've been good.
Okay, so how did I do?
I think he did great. Everybody give him a round of applause.
Thank you guys. I was just trying to rush that as fast as possible to make sure that we can get as much information to you today. Now, this is some exciting stuff. This guy right here, his name is Joseph Smith. You guys don't know this guy. He is what we refer to as the money guy. He is an expert at raising capital. He's an expert at business credit. I love working with this guy because I love to shop. Who likes to shop? I love to spend money. Who likes to spend money? You guys don't like to spend money? Fix and flips. I'm like, he raises the capital and then he gives it to me to go spend on real estate. It's great. Everybody needs a Joseph in their pocket. So Joseph is going to show us how to implement velocity banking with business credits and how to marry the two together in some never, ever, ever heard about ways before. We've been working diligently. He's been working diligently with CPAs, accountants, attorneys to make sure that this is legit crafted to just a whole nother level. I've never seen this stuff before, so give it up for Mr. Joseph Smith.
All right. Now, I am the clicker now. Hey folks, how was lunch? All right, no food-induced comas during my portion of the training, you understand? Stand up, run in place, I don't know, smack yourself, whatever you need to do. Splash water in your face. All right. Wasn't that awesome? Who here loves business credit? Great job, Ray. For those of you wondering, what is that thing around his neck, you know? Was there some drone that crashed into his head? I don't know what was going on. This is a portable fan. Apparently, you guys have something here called humidity. It doesn't exist in the desert. I don't know what this is. It's like, anyway, so just so I don't start turning into a sweaty mess, I've got my little personal fan here. All right. Okay, folks, who here does not know what velocity banking is? All right, so we got a few, yeah. So, ever heard of like sweep strategies, anything like that? All right, well, you're in for a treat because the best person to explain this to you is Richie, but I'm the one who's going to be explaining it. Thank you. I will do my best. Tell you what I love about this strategy. First of all, to participate, I have to bring up to speed on what velocity banking is. You guys already know business credit. You know what that is. But to explain velocity banking, like I'm going to be mixing two volatile substances and create an explosion. So I got to explain velocity banking so then you can understand how we mix it together with business credit. Okay? Is that good? Now, need you to take notes. This is a whole nother class in the Renatus education. In fact, it's not just one class, it's like a 2-day class. And I'm telling you, this is a mind-blowing training. This is advanced financial strategies at its best. So you came here for business credit, you paid for business credit, and we're going to throw in a bonus, a little velocity banking training. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So there's 3 things that you need to participate in velocity banking. Okay. Let's see if you qualify. First of all, you must have debt. Who here has debt? All right. You've passed the first qualification. Second thing you need income. So everybody have income? Some kind of income? Hope. If not, well, you really need our help. All right, third thing you need is a line of credit. All right? Now, does everybody in the room, of course, knows the difference between a line of credit and credit cards, right? Everybody, right? Completely know that difference. Well, let me just say this because I think there's a little kid in the back and he doesn't know, but I know the rest of you know. Oh, he does? Okay, so then everybody here knows. So then I'm saying this for Ray because Ray's never seen this before. All right, so line of credit, credit cards works off of simple interest. So if I have a credit card, that's a little piece of plastic, right? You all have little pieces of plastic that look like credit cards, right? I take my credit card, I go to a point of sale, I swipe it, right? We transact. It's a beautiful thing. When I get the credit card, I can get an introductory rate of 0% interest, right? If it's a personal credit card, could be from 6 to 12 months, maybe 18. If it's a business corporate credit card, it could be from 18 to 24 months. These are good things. Now, you use a line of credit, it's a revolving account. We'll talk about that more, but let's talk about now, contrast that difference with a line of credit. So lines of credit, they can be collateralized, they can be unsecured, either way, but typically they come at a set interest rate, at least initially, then they could go variable after that. But let's say your interest rate, well, if you're in the States, see, you guys have all kinds of wonderful banking products here on the islands that I don't have access to. But if I went to go get a personal line of credit, I would say probably typical for me to get somewhere between 12 to 14% back in the States, simple interest rate on that. And you know, that's not bad. I mean, what am I going to use a personal line of credit? I might go out and consolidate debt. I might go add a new addition to the house. I might invest in real estate, right? But the line of credit, does my line of credit come at a 0% introductory rate?
No.
No. And then over a certain period of time, the line of credit will convert into a loan if you don't finance it out. But here's the reason why I want you to understand the difference. What happens if I have a credit card and I want cash? I need some cash right now. What do? What's that called?
Cash advance.
Cash advance. So let's say I've got my credit card and it's got an interest rate of, I don't know, 18, 19%, but I want a cash advance. What? 24%. I've seen sometimes 30%. Now let's say my limit's $10,000. Do I get all $10,000 in my cash advance? No, about a third, right? Okay, now contrast that with my line of credit. I got a line of credit for, let's say, $15,000. And I want cash. I want all 15. Can I get all 15 in cash?
Yes.
Yep. And I get it at my 12, 15% interest rate. I only know the numbers that I work with back in the States, so please just adjust for Hawaii, whatever that is. Okay? So, but it's important to understand, because if I'm going to be explaining velocity banking to you, and I throw out, a lot of people loosely interchange the terms credit cards, lines of credit, but there's a difference, right? Because if I want cash out of a credit card, I got to do a cash advance, and I can't get access to my full credit limit. But if I have a line of credit, right, I can get access to the full amount of cash at a very low interest rate. We all good? We all understand that? Okay, I like to just throw out a couple of these terminologies real quick so that we're not confused as I talk about velocity banking. So, the best way I know to teach velocity banking is to give you an example. So who here wants to give us all of your financials? Let's go over all of your budget. Let's get into all, oh, wait a minute. So let's not actually do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you information that comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? National averages on a 2-income American family. And this information was collected from the U.S. Census, so we know that none of that could be false or misleading or incorrect. So all this, and this comes from our government, which we know is all good. All right, but here's my point. These are nationwide averages. You're out here in Hawaii. There's other places in this country other than Hawaii, just so you know, guys. But so that means we've got to average what the cost of things are out here, and what the price and your budgets are out here with what goes on in Arizona, with what goes on in Florida, New York, Iowa, Montana, all over the place. So this is a nationwide average, okay? So I'm going to be sharing with you, the numbers that I share with you are just averages. You need to understand the principle that I'm trying to communicate here, so you'll adjust in your mind, you'll input your own numbers. Got it? Okay, so you got your average 2-income American family. Hey, they're happy. All right. What do they bring in after taxes? A net of $5,000. Where does that $5,000 go? Does it go into the mattress? Does it goes into the bank? See, when it goes into the bank, here's this big black hole. I'm sorry, there's a big, all right, so it goes into the bank, and it's this big pie, and when you do this, you're living on what we call a cash basis mentality. What it means is, there's only so much money here, and I've got to start slicing my pie into different pieces so that there's enough to cover all of my expenses. Now, if the car breaks down and it's $8,000 repair, is there enough income coming in to fix that vehicle? What? You got to pull from your savings, right? And if there isn't money in the savings, then what do you got to do? What? You got to borrow, right? So, and then when you borrow, does that mean you've created a new set of monthly income? So now there's a new wedge, a new payment. And if you're already living paycheck to paycheck, you can't afford this new payment. So I know you guys in the islands don't ever do anything like this, but where I come from, remember I told you about my finances, car accidents, slow motion. So sometimes I might not have paid the power bill that month, kind of float it for a month, and then paid, just trying to catch up, and then paid, but I know I couldn't go 2 months without paying it, so then I paid that, but then I didn't pay the cell phone bill for a month, so it kind of floated that, and then it just creates a domino effect. And then before you know it, you gotta borrow more. Do you ever catch it? Anybody experience that, or is that just unique to Tucson? No, you guys experience that? Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about this. So the first part of the wedge, what's the first thing that we pay on the first of every month? The mortgage, the rent, right? Well, the average 2-income American family across the United States is paying $1,200 a month in their mortgage. That might not be out here in the islands, but that's typically in the form of a loan. So the average 2-income American family lives, what's the most prevalent bedroom bath arrangement in houses? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? And the average loan that's being carried back or mortgage across the nation on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is $200,000. Right, so that $1,200 a month payment is servicing and this nationwide average is at 6%. Now 6%, that's an average, so that means half of 2-income American families are even paying more than that. And the other half are paying less than that. How would you end up paying more than that? I mean, haven't the interest rates been super low? Right, but who are their interest rates super low for? Those who can qualify for it, right? Now, how many people got in with an ARM? You know, no, an adjustable rate mortgage, that's what I meant. So it starts low and then it keeps stepping up. Or they've had other factors could have made the amount go up. But the point is, this is where people are at with their home loan. Next thing is you have a 2-income family, so you have 2 cars. You like that car? I'm not charging any money for my artwork today. You know, comes free of charge, right? 2-income American family has how many vehicles? 2. Okay. So the average monthly car payment across the United States is $300. So what would 2 car payments be? 600. All right. Good. Now, then you have your average 2-income American family has something called credit card debt. You guys might not have experienced this, but they have credit cards and it creates debt, and then there's these average, minimum monthly payments that they make. Here's what surprised me. The average across the nation is at $600 a month in minimum payments on credit cards. That might not shock you out here in the islands, but that shocked me. I was like, whoa. So over here, can everybody see this, or is this in the way? You can't see? Well, we want you to see for sure.
It's all about me.
There you go. All right. So, loans, lines of credit. So again, we're talking averages here. So the average 2-income American family has $15,000 limit available to them in their lines of credit. Now, for me, in Tucson, when I saw that, I was like, I don't got no $15,000 in credit cards or limit. My neighbor doesn't. Who has $15,000 in lines of credit? That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Well, keep in mind that also $15,000 in lines of credit, as defined here, is not just credit cards. We've already talked about differences. Personal lines of credit, home equity lines of credit. We're also talking about there's different types of, an overdraft account for a credit card could be one. Different people have lines of credit attached to money market accounts or other types of pensions that they might be potentially in the future drawing on, but they take a different line off of that. So there's a lot of different ways that $15,000 is achieved. But here is, for me, another real shocker. Americans are carrying a $12,000 balance on their lines of credit. And all of that is at a nationwide average of 21% interest. You guys picking up what I'm laying down? Does that look like the American dream? American nightmare, or whatever I'm going to call it? Okay, so who here hadn't seen Velocity Banking? How do you say your name?
Leanne.
Leanne. Okay, so Leanne, you're representing the whole group, no pressure, all right? You're speaking for all of them, right? Nobody assist her. We're gonna see if she paid attention in math class back in high school, okay? So, we're gonna say that you're in the example of the car breaking down $8,000 and you need it fixed, because if the car doesn't work, you can't go where? Yeah, you can't go to work, and without work, you can't bring in your income, right? And then you get kicked off the island, and we don't want that to happen to you. All right, so you need that money like today. There's no time to go to a bank. There's no time to fill out any type of thing. But guess what? You just happen to meet a really great guy. His name's Joseph Smith. He's an investor. He's got some money to lend you. He'll lend you the $8,000. I will. Just ask me if I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy, absolutely. So, I'm gonna lend you $8,000, and because I'm such a nice guy, I'm gonna let you choose. Do you wanna pay 21% interest or 6% interest? You pick.
Zero. I want
That was one of the options. Now the new options are, do you want to pay 30% interest or 10%? You want to pay the 6, okay. Yeah, give her a round of applause. And that's what we'd all do. I mean, we weren't dumb the day they taught math. We're not going to pay more than what we need to, right? Who wants to pay 21% interest? That's crazy. Folks, you got to understand that that when you start understanding how the bank works, how it operates, they really take advantage of what we think we know and what they think we know. So we've got to really put a lot of this into context. So we're going to come back to that in just a minute, but I want to round out the rest of this. This Lex wedge right here, it really could be anything. It's called your lifestyle. Lifestyle. I mean, do you guys eat ramen noodles? Do you guys go out to eat? Right? How many kids do you have? Is the power bill? Are you paying for Netflix? Right? What are your expenses? In this example here, we just have a income family with no kids. Are their monthly expenses and their bills going to be different than a 2-income family with 8 kids and mother-in-law living with you? Right? Is that going to be slightly different power bill usage, phone bill, all that? Yeah. Okay. So your lifestyle, this number is always going to be in flux. But for our numbers here, for the business here, their power, their water, their gas usage, their food bill is all wrapped up in there. Now, here we have the savings account, right? Now here's the number that threw me off the worst. This is where I thought, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in terms of budgeting, average 2-income American families putting away $1,400 a month in savings. It's like, well, I feel like I read reports every day that Americans aren't saving anything. I mean, who here's putting away $1,400 a month in savings? I see nobody. So why would the all-wise, all-knowing government say that? Well, because here's what they did. They didn't know how to classify 401ks and IRAs. And so when you have a 2-income American family that's able to contribute, up to 10% of their paycheck, and maybe with a 4% or 6% match with the corporation, and you're talking about each paycheck with the potential of 10% for each paycheck going into there. Then on top of that, maybe they're saving anywhere from $50 to $200 a month. See, people do save, but for short-term reasons. We're saving for a vacation. We're saving for an upgrade to upgrade our house. We're saving for Christmas, something like that, right? So when you look at that, then we understand the 1,400. It's not really savings. It's people putting away money into the future. But for the little bit of money that does go into a savings account, right? We have to ask ourselves, what do we make on a savings account? What's the benefit here? 0.001%, right? I could put up 0.02% for a high yield, right? High yield savings account. And so, I mean, think about that. That means if I put $100 into my savings account, right, today, next year, I'll get $1 back. Is that pretty good? That's a great investment. Until you take into account these 3 letters, I and F. What's that stand for? Stands for inflation. And it's been fluctuating over the last few years. It's been as high as 4%. It's gone down to 2.5. Let's say, because it's all over the place, let's just call it 3% right now, okay, for the sake of discussion. 3%. What's that mean? $100 that I put into my savings account last year today is now worth $97 because of the cost of living expenses and the deflation of my dollar. You guys liking that? Okay, so doing the math, put $100 last year in my savings account. I got paid $1, and then inflation took 3 from me. Where am I at? I'm at $98. Okay, so let's set that aside. If you think that's good. All right, guys, I want to give you all today. I'm going to solicit funds. I know you're not supposed to, but I'm just going to do it, all right? I'm going to give you all a chance to invest with me at 1% return, okay? You just give me your money, all right? However much you want. I promise you, you will get 1% back, all right? You want to do that deal with me? Who wants to do that deal? All right, so who here has a savings account? Guys, you're all doing that deal. You wouldn't do the deal with me, but you're doing the deal with them? I mean, come on. Guys, okay, here's the deal. Why do we put money into a savings account? In case of a what? Emergency, right? You're just being responsible. Right. So you put money in there, and they call it a savings account, but what does the bank call it in their actual ledger? And their ledger actually has a different name. It's called their lending pool. Their lending pool. So, how many of you want to put money into the bank's lending pool so they can go out and make money? Show of hands. Oh, you see the bank had the same problem with that, so they said, hey, who wants to put money into a savings account in case of an emergency? And then everybody raised their hand. Okay, so now, see, the bank's not dumb here, okay? So that's what they did. Okay, so now the bank gets your money, and then what happens? Well, you got your 2 auto loans, right? We should put auto loans, 2 of them. So the average amount that's being held right now on the balance of an auto loan is about $13,000. So if we have 2 of those cars, so we're carrying a $26,000 balance. But let's say you want to go get a car. You've been saving up money. Been doing a great job scrimping and saving, cut back. You only eat every other week, just to try to make sure, you can pay the bills. And so the day comes, you save $10,000. Yes, it's awesome. So then, but you know what? You need a new ride because who wants to pay $8,000 for that old beat up, piece of crap? So you're going to go get a new car, and you could spend all of your emergency funds to go get this new car, but you're not going to, right? You're going to go get what? You're going to go get an auto loan. And let's say you trade in your car and they give you a certain amount for it, and it turns out that you need about, 10, 13,000, right? They're going to loan that money to you. Think about this. I'm the bank. We're all the bank here in this room. We're the bank of Saturday, right? You all put your money here into my lending pool. You saved up, you did a great job, you got $10,000 in the bank, and then you need money, so I'm going to take your money that you gave me, right, and I'm going to give it to you, right, and I'm going to give it to you at, well, maybe the auto loans at I don't know, 5%, right? I'm going to cut you a deal, right? I've got your money, and I'm going to lend it back to you at 5%. Guys, that's what the bank does. Who here wants to be a bank? I mean, this is legal, right? Take other people's money and lend it back to them at a higher interest rate than what you pay them, right? Because what? They're paying you this, but they're making this. Is that awesome? Well, I mean, so you all think about it as an investor. You wouldn't invest with me your money in your savings account. My lending pool. But you'll put it in a savings account. But I mean, think about it. Why didn't you want to invest with me? Would you want to knowingly invest in something that you know before you even put the money into it that you're going to lose? Anybody want to invest in that investment? No. So why do we put money into those savings accounts? Well, then you need to learn some discipline. All right. So, folks, we're putting up. I'm just trying to tell you, when you give your money to the banks, you're helping them make money from your money. That's all you're doing, right? Do you think they're sitting there and your money, your $10,000 that was in that savings account, are they opening up a secret chest and they're placing that stack of $10,000 bills and it's like lock, and it's there and nobody touched it, right? I mean, it's like, anybody seen that South Park video? And it's gone. Right? That's your, I just put the money in the, yeah, and it's gone. Now we're gonna put it into some high yield mutual funds, and it's gone. I mean, that's what happens. Immediately when it goes in there, they're already lending it out to, you need a car, you need a house, you need a loan, so that money's out, right? Because they're gonna make money off of your money. Okay, but what about this? This is smart though. Sending away a whole bunch of money in your 401k and IRA, right? Where does that go? All money, right? You have your paycheck, it comes to you, minus the amount of money that you put into your 401k. Where did that money go? Where?
To the bank.
Not back to the company, no.
No, I went to an investment company or a fund manager.
Investment company, where are they?
Not here.
They're in a magical land called New York. And they live on a special street. Wall Street, yes. That's where it goes, off to this magical land, right? Where fortunes and empires build and fall. And I mean, you've got brokers out there and hedge fund managers, and it's like a casino, man. It's so much fun, right? When you can gamble with somebody else's money, I mean, you just have a great time. So when you send your money out there to Wall Street, whether it's in a 401k or an IRA, they're investing your money to help you make money. But they use your money to make themselves money, yes?
Yes.
Now, if they don't make you money, do they still get paid?
Yes.
Because they're not paid off of whether or not you make money. I mean, there can be some incentives in there for sure, but they're paid per transaction, right? So, if in and out, they just get paid. So, anybody remember what happened in 2008? Overnight, the 401k became a 101k, just like that. All right? Was anybody there for that? Okay, so that was really rough. Really a rough time for the hedge fund owners and brokers out on Wall Street, right? I mean, we saw them all on the streets with "We'll work for food" signs, cardboard, right? No? They got all those golden parachutes, right? They were too big to fail. Well, then, who was the people that actually suffered? We all collectively suffered, right? So, folks, when you put money into a savings account, you're giving the bank permission to go make money off of your money. When you send money off to Wall Street, if you're not directly controlling it and managing that fund, you're giving somebody else permission to make money off of your money. What?
Or to lose money from your money.
Right. So let me ask you this. Who cares more about whether or not your money performs and is there for you to build the kind of retirement in the future that you want to have? You or Wall Street broker? You or the bank? Right? Now the bank, we go to them as wise sages of financial experience and wisdom, right? They're the Sherpas that will guide us up the path to celestial, financial, right, ecstasy. But let me ask you something. Anybody here know what a fiduciary is? Give me the definition. You're really smart.
Fiduciary is a legal obligation to do.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
It's a legal obligation to do generally something that is ethically or morally right or correct.
Thank you. Now, let me ask you this. That's the correct answer. Is the bank a fiduciary?
No.
No, you mean they're in profit to benefit themselves? So when we go to them, we're like, what do? I've got this money. I don't want to spend this money. What should I do? Where should I put it? Well, does the bank have an answer? Yes, of course. I know exactly what we can do. We can get you into one of our high yield savings accounts at 0.15%.
So question for you. What do you think
I'm sorry, all questions must be submitted in writing.
You asked me a question, I get one back.
Touche, go ahead.
What do you think the bank is selling? Just for the room.
What do I think the bank is selling?
Why would people go to a bank? What is the commodity that the bank is selling in exchange for them to use your money?
It says selling
It's
access
one word.
to cash.
It's access, but more than anything else, they're selling you trust. And that's why integrity and trust for a bank is so important. That's their entire business model. If you don't trust them, they're out of business.
Guys, I don't want you to stop trusting the banks.
Yes, that's right.
All right? I don't want you to stop trusting the banks. I just want you to understand their motivation and where they're coming from, right? Because too many people put too much faith and trust into a system where, I mean, they are not a fiduciary. They are in business to make a profit. So if they're going to sell you some product, it is going to ultimately benefit them. Now, the hope is that it will provide you some benefit as well, but primarily they're looking out for themselves and their stockholders, shareholders, their investors, right? That's who they really care about. All right. So I've belabored the point, but I think we understand, like, oh, we all know that, you know, all credit is bad, right? All debt is evil, right? Is that right? I thought, but that's what I learned, right? You got to be careful, because if you use a credit card and you don't pay, what happens? You get sent where? Sent to where? Collections. And then if you don't pay or settle up with the collections, they could do what? They could get a judgment filed against you. Right. Right. Your credit gets destroyed. So that's the least of your concerns, because now they're garnishing your wages. Your employer. What if you're a government worker? Are you going to still have a job? Right? It's dangerous. You're playing with fire. So, all that's true. And there's people out there that tell you to cut up your credit cards. And I'll tell you something, there are some people that need to cut up their credit cards, okay? If you have no discipline, self-control, and you're not teachable and coachable, then cut up them credit cards. But for those of you, let's talk about it. Fire is really dangerous. You saw my kids up there. If I said, hey boys, here's a box of matches, go have a good time. Am I being a good father? What are they liable to do with that box of matches? Burn something down, kill themselves? I mean, I don't know. Just burn the whole city of Tucson down? I mean, they could do it. Yeah. Oh, don't tempt them. They'll try. So, so fire is obviously dangerous. But I also have, not pictured up there, I have a 19-year-old son who likes to go camping. If I hand him a box of matches while we're camping, am I being a bad father? No. What is he likely to do with that box of matches? Cook dinner? Start the campfire? Yeah, and create a campfire. What does a campfire do for us? You already named one. I could cook dinner off of my campfire. What else will the campfire do for me? Yeah, keep us warm when it's cold at night. What else could it do? S'mores. S'mores? What about, does it provide light? Right? So, heat for cooking, heat for warmth. It provides light so I can see. Sounds like fire can do some good things. In the right hands, exactly. So when credit is in the wrong hands, it's a tool, and if you don't know how to use it, you could catch yourself on fire, set your whole life on fire, finances and everything, right? But if you know how to use fire as a tool, you can do so many wonderful things, right? Can fire be used to launch a man in a rocket ship off of this planet, land him on the moon, and can the same fire return him home safely? Could fire be used to do extraordinary things. What about credit? Do you think credit, lines of credit, can be used to do extraordinary things, to eliminate debt and to propel your business to the stars? Absolutely. That's the point and the goal behind velocity banking. So when we look at this, this is $5,000 in and it is $5,000 out, giving us a cash flow of zero. Who here has kids? Any of them in school?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah? What happens every quarter? They come home with some sheet of paper. What is that paper? That report card. Oh, looking at, hey Elijah, you're doing good in math, doing good in PE, right? But I'm looking at like, it looks like you need a little bit of work in reading, writing, right? So we want to encourage him to do well. If he says to me, Daddy, what's your report card? Well, folks, right there is the equivalent of the adult's report card. How would you say the average two-income American family is doing? What grade would you give that? An F, a C, right? Okay. So who wants, hey, I'll give you another opportunity to go in business with me. Who wants to do the deal where I've got a property that brings in a monthly gross revenue of $5,000, you know, but the debt service and the maintenance, monthly maintenance costs $5,000. But if you go in on this deal, you're personally liable for everything on this property. Who wants it? What? There's some people, I always get somebody's like, well, it depends. No. Go with your gut, right? You've got a property that brings in gross $5,000, it costs $5,000, and if you want to purchase it, you take on all the liability. Who wants it? You want that property? Right. That's this life. That's what this looks like. If you wouldn't even invest in yourself, why would anybody want to invest with you? See, we first need to learn how to appropriately budget and manage our own finances, and how to work with our cash flow so that we can become responsible investors. That's the whole goal of velocity banking. I haven't even showed you velocity banking yet. I just really laid down a budget. But let me ask you something here. Let's go back. I've now showed you what the average budget is. We're going to talk about the difference between the banking products, and then I'll close with velocity banking. Good? Who here took 8th grade earth science? Anybody? 2 people? Okay, good. All right, so fresh water at sea level freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. True or false? Yes, that's true. I'm not trying to trick you here. Fresh water at sea level freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. True or false? True. You are right. Now, I'm not trying to trick you, but if I change that 0 degrees Celsius to, let's say, 1 degree Celsius, and we compare that to the 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which temperature is hotter? 1 degree Celsius. Excellent. Now I'm going to try and trick you. All right, I'm going to change 1 degree Celsius to 6 degrees Celsius. I'm going to change 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Which temperature is hotter? Are you sure?
Oh, no, but it's going lower.
Which temperature is hotter? I had a lot of people pointing over here. Who here, by show of hands, votes for the 6? All right, who here votes for the 21? No votes for the 21, all votes for the 6. But it's a 6, that's a 6. That's a 21, guys, come on. 6, 21, are you sure? Why is the 6 hotter than the 21?
Different scale.
Different scale, are you serious? You mean Celsius is different than Fahrenheit? Hey, did you know that the banks are pulling the same thing on you right here with these interest rates? Do you know that? You know these interest rates are on different scales? Loans over here are amortized. Amortized. All right? And they're one directional. Over here, your lines of credit, they're simple interest and they're revolving. So what does that mean? One directional. I borrow the money, I get it all in one chunk. And then it obviously goes, you know, to get my house, $200,000. And then I make my $1,200 a month payment. Here I am. I'll make my first payment. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go?
In the bank's
I went to the bank, right? Here's the next payment. I make it. Where did it go? To the bank. Oh, but you know what? Now, where I'm from, we have this thing called air conditioning. And so I have my house, and all of a sudden, it starts blowing hot air. When the air conditioner is not supposed to do it, it's supposed to be blowing cold air. So I call a technician out, and he looks, and oh, there was a leak in the Freon, and he fixes it, and recharges the unit, and it's gonna be $500. So, I'm like, oh, $500, huh? Pick up my phone, I say, hey, Mr. Banker, I know I just made that $1,200 payment, but you see the AC went out, and it's gonna be $500 to fix. Can I get $500 back from that payment, and then I'll make it up on the next one? The bank says,
No.
what? That sounds pretty reasonable. I'm not asking for the whole thing back. I'll make it up on the end. One directional. Money only flows in one direction. It goes from me to the bank and never the other way around. You guys get that? Over here, here's a credit card. Well, I gotta make that, I put $500. I increased my balance up to $500, right? Then I have to make my minimum payment. And that goes from me, where did my payment go? Where did my minimum payment, monthly minimum payment go? To the bank. Now the bank takes out 21%, well, APR, right? So, but then what's returned back to me would be the 79%. Or actually, if you take the APR of the 21, right, it's annual, divide that by 12, we're talking about 1.75. So of my payment, 1.75 is getting eaten up by the interest. What's returning back as available limit to me? Right? A large portion of what I just paid, right? So when I make a payment on my credit card, it makes my limit go down. It also affects how much I owe every month. But do you see that while the bank is making money off of me, a portion of what I pay to the bank comes back to me as available credit. I can use that again. You guys picking up what I'm laying down? Okay, so that's revolving and amortized. So, over here, anybody ever seen an amortization schedule? Right? For those of you with weak constitutions, you may want to divert your eyes, because this is a thing of pure evil, but I'll show it to you anyway. All right, so there's interest and there's principal, right? How long is a home mortgage? 30 years. What happens at this magical 20-year point? Yeah. Yeah, I begin to pay more towards the principal. So on the first payment here, $950 is going to interest and $250 is going to principal. Does that look like 6%? It's 6%. Doesn't that look like 6%? Okay. Well, let's look at it another way. 5-year mark. What happens in 5 years? What? Say again? People refinance. What else? Or they move, right? And they get another house. Either way, you start this clock all over again, right? So 5 years is how many months? 60 months. If you're paying $1,200 a month faithfully every month for 60 months, you will pay $72,000 towards your loan. Pretty awesome, right? So let's see if that's 6%. Principal, total principal paid is 13,000, I'm rounding down, it's like 13,800, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm rounding down. So 13,000. Let's look at the interest though on this. Interest is $59,000. That's definitely 6%, right? That's not 6%. They said it was 6%. Over the course of 30 years, on $200,000 principal balance, you will pay the bank back $432,000. That's 6%, right? No. So let me ask you something. Is there a way to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit? Is there some mathematical formula, right? Or is there some way I just say, hey, Google, right? Right? Can I just like plug it in and figure out what it is? Is there a way for us to figure out how much we are paying, how much amortized interest is in simple interest? There is a formula. It looks a lot like what you would see on Einstein's chalkboard, by the way. But let me give you, it's not entirely accurate, but this is what I do to eyeball it. Take your interest rate and double it. What's 6 plus 6? 12. Now, multiply that by 10. What do you get? 120. 120. When you do the actual formula, though, it's 116%. Right? 116%. Simple interest. But hey, this is just a quick way for me to eyeball. So someone's like, hey man, I got a sweet deal. 4%. I'm like, 4%? You paying somewhere like 70, 80% in simple interest on that? What? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. There's something called the truth in lending statement, right? Anybody ever heard of that? Ever seen it? It's this phantom that sometimes wanders in and out of the mist. You don't know, you're at closing, you're signing, and all of a sudden, whoosh, it rushes by you real fast and then it's gone. You're like, what was that? The truth in lending statement tells you how much you're actually paying and what your effective interest rate is. Now, you guys all went to school. You know, I can prove it. You all took math. I can prove it. How much money is 21% of $100? $21. See, you guys are smart. They taught math, and you took. What day was it? What math class were you in where they taught amortized interest? Well, yeah, today. No, in school. Oh, they didn't teach that? Right? So if we're sitting at the bank and we're like, hey, congratulations, Kenny. You just talked to the underwriters. Hey, I want to let you know a few more things, we'll work it out. But I was just told you're going to qualify for 116% on this loan. Congratulations. Now, he doesn't even want to shake my hand. So I'm sitting here and I'm going back, hey, nobody here wants 116% loan. And they're like, and so they have a little meeting, huddle up. You know, they're sitting there, okay, Kenny, we talked to the underwriter. Congratulations, you got qualified for 6% amortized. Right? Yay! What are we relying on his knowledge? What did he learn in school? He learned simple interest, right? I'm the bank, I'm counting on your high school education to inform you that, right? Now, here we are with this 21%. You got a credit card, and you don't want to use that, just in case, you only use that in case of emergency. That's 21%, right? You're like, whoa, yeah, that's a lot. And so you're like, okay. And then what happens? You don't use the card. You save it in case of what? Emergency. Then the day comes and you use the card on that $8,000 emergency, and then you foolishly do what Joseph did with his, and you don't pay the power bill 1 month, you don't pay the phone bill, see if you can skip a couple credit card payments, grace period, hopefully it all works out. But before you know it, you keep having to use the credit card again and again because you gotta pay for gas and you gotta eat, right? And before you know it, you've racked up a $12,000 balance. You can't afford to pay it off, so you make the minimum monthly payments every month. 21% interest, just pay in the bank. Bank's got you right where they want you. Because with a $12,000 balance, at making the minimum monthly payment, how long does it take to pay off a $12,000 balance, making the minimum monthly payments? I think it'll get paid off somewhere in the 3rd or 4th generation, right? By then, your great-great-grandchildren will thank you for that debt that you passed on to them. I bequeath to my great-grandchildren my credit card, right? So, we look at that, and you see how we look at that wrong, because think about this. Let's pretend this is my credit card. And I need to make a $200 purchase today. So I swipe the card. That's okay, because look at this. Could I find somewhere to make that payment up within my $5,000 monthly budget? I could pay that off like next week when I get paid my next paycheck, right? If I want to, right? So swipe the card for $200. Next week I pay it off. Paid it off. How much money in interest did the bank make off of me specifically? Zero. Well, they make 3% on the merchant fee. I get that. But they make zero. Do they want you acting like that? No. Because each time you use your card, they have to legally set aside money from their lending pool, right? If they're setting that aside for you, that means they can't give it to somebody else and make money off of that. So they don't want you behaving that way. You got that? So, Leanne, if we could go back in time, and I asked you, remember I'm a nice guy, and I'm lending you money, right? Do you want to borrow the money at 21% simple interest, 3% amortized? You need the money. 21% simple? Do you see how with just a little bit more knowledge you could make a better choice? Do you see that? How when you get educated, you can make better decisions financially? See, folks, this is what the bank knows and understands about the banking system. So what do they do with it? Well, let's talk about it. W-2. What does that mean? Who's a W-2 employee? Right? W-2 employee. What do they do? They use their cash as currency. Right? What's currency? Huh? Yeah, it's a medium of exchange, right? They exchange their cash, right? And in return, they get to live in their house and drive their cars and use their credit cards and eat beans and rice, whatever it is. Okay, so, well, what do the wealthy do? What do the wealthy do? Yes, they use leverage at somebody else's money to pay for the things you need. Then what do they do with their cash? Well, let's see. They use their cash as velocity. So, right now, based off of everything I was saying here in the green, W-2 people use their cash as currency. You're like, check, I got that. Wealthy people use leverage as their currency. You're like, check, okay, I got that. And then I said they use their cash as velocity. And how many people just felt like, whoosh, that's all. What are you talking about? Cash is velocity. I use my cash to make the payments on the money that I'm leveraging. So the greater the cash flow, the greater the amount of money that I have, the more that I will be able to leverage. And if I'm wealthy and I use leverage, the more leverage I have means the more what? Okay. More currency. The more currency I can do what? Rule the world, yeah, exactly. All right, folks. That's the principles behind velocity banking. Now I'll actually demonstrate it for you. Buckle up. This is $5,000. What do we do with it? Well, we're not going to put it in the bank anymore. It's going to go right down here On to my balance. Okay, so just so you know, the first time I saw this, this was step 1 of velocity banking, and I was watching and I'm taking notes, and the first step, they said, okay, we take this money and we put it all on the line of credit, and I'm like, you lost me. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but what? $5,000 on my line of credit? How do we pay the rent? How do we eat? Right? I mean, what are we gonna do? All right, guys, I'm gonna pretend like I was talking to me. By the way, it took me 6 times to see this before I halfway understood what was going on, okay? So, that's a joke, you're supposed to laugh. All right, so let's look at my lines of credit. So I have $15,000, right? And I'm carrying a $12,000 balance. You got me so far? What happens when $5,000 applied to this line of credit? Yeah. You're like, well, what does that do me now? I can't do anything. Well, first of all, for this $600 a month minimum credit card payment anymore? Do I need to budget for that? No. So where does that money go? That goes to my cash flow, right? Because now my expenses are now at, $4,400, right? That's not bad. You got a little cash flow now. Now, here's something I'm going to recommend for you folks, because none of you are dumb. You're all very bright people, right? You don't need to be putting money into savings accounts anymore. You don't need to be sending money off into 401ks that you don't have any idea what's going on. You are the people that are going to get educated and learn what to do with your own money and make better financial decisions than somebody out in Wall Street or some banker, working in some high-rise downtown. All right, so since we're going to take back control of our lives and we're going to get educated to learn how to do this the right way, we're not going to put money over here. We're not going to give our money away so other people make some money off of us. We're not fools, right? Okay, so we're going to take this $1,400 and we're going to throw that also into our cash flow, right? Okay, so that adjusts what our expenses are. Now, do you see how I arrived at the place where I now have $2,000 a month in cash flow? Yes?
I don't.
You don't see?
I don't think I don't. How do I not put money in my TSP? Because I don't think I'm not allowed to put money in my TSP.
TSP?
IRA.
Military retirement accounts.
Well, I mean, if you have no choice, you have no choice. I was in a government job where I had no choice. They just took the money from me.
Okay, that's,
So
so you don't count that as part of your
no, I don't put that into the budget figures. If I have, just like, we're not talking about the taxes here because this was money after taxes, right? So money that I have no control over, I'm not going to worry about, right? Okay. So I arrived in this scenario. So everybody, your number here is going to be different. When I first started this, my number was 500. Okay, when I started working with all my things, I freed up $500 a month in cash flow. But mind you, that was when I was running at a negative $1,000. Okay, so I moved the needle $1,500 just by starting to apply velocity banking principles in my life. So by freeing up cash flow, did I have to go get an extra job? Am I working overtime? Right? Did I have to press my children into some kind of, child labor camp or something like that? Making Nike shoes somewhere so that we could get more money? No, I didn't have to do any of that. Right? Just by simply redefining how we budget, I now have freed up cash flow. Okay. So over here, I still have expenses, right? I gotta pay the rent, gotta pay the auto. Who here is like, wait a minute, you can't pay your rent or your mortgage payment with a credit card, right? Is there people that have that objection? can't do that. Well, depending on your situation, there's possibilities you can. But sometimes you don't need to. Could I leave $1,200 from my income in the account to pay the rent, and then I just decreasing my expenses and the income based off of that? I could factor that out too, right? If I'm factoring out TEP, I could factor out the rent. Some people, they build a credit card on their checking account, and they have what's called overdraft protection. And so the checking account has no money, but they write a check from the checking account. But just because something has a fee, right, doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing, because if the numbers work, you do the deal. But there's a lot of ways to do this. So in this case, if it's better in your situation to leave $1,200 in your bank account so you can pay the mortgage, then do that. If it's better to leave the $600 in the account so you can pay the auto loan, then do that. And then you just adjust your velocity banking numbers based off of what you're working with. You have to create a specific, this $15,000 limit could be on 3 different credit cards, right? Each at a $5,000. You pick which one might work as the velocity banking limit. Obviously, the best way for this to work is with a line of credit. So we'll talk about those. But if I put $5,000 in this example, if I put $5,000 on my $12,000 balance, where does my balance go to? It goes down to 7, is that what you said? But then I got to put $3,000 of monthly expenses back onto the card, right? That's what I did here. So what's the net pay down? Right? The pay down was $2,000. It's gone down to $10,000. You guys see that? All right. That was month 1. Well, anything you do once, you can do twice, right? Unless it's jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. You really can only do that once. Okay. So if you put $5,000 down, put $3,000 back up, right? Now you're done it. You see that I'm paying down my debt. The speed, the velocity of paying down is based off of my cash flow, right? Now, this is my income is not going into my old checking and savings account. It's going into my new checking and savings account. My line of credit is now both my checking and my savings account, because I have, as you saw, little boys, and they do some pretty amazing things. When you go out in the backyard and you find that your 5-year-old has climbed up on the roof to go get a baseball, goes up there. That's kind of a scary moment, because what happens if he falls off? What could happen? You could break an arm or something, right? And then if that happened, and then we rushed him down to the hospital, and we got everything taken care of, the insurance pays for 100% of all the medical expenses, right? Is that how it works out here? Yeah, see, it doesn't work that way back in the States either. It only pays for like 80%. So then all of a sudden, after that whole experience, you get a $2,000 medical bill. Can I pay that off with a credit card? That medical bill? Right? I'm just throwing it back onto this line of credit, right? So if I'm paying $12,000 down, and it's getting paid down at a speed of $2,000 a month, how many months until that's paid off? I heard it. 6 months. Right? 12 divided by 2 equals 6. But if I had to, all of a sudden, I took on an extra $2,000 expense, what if it was $4,000? Do you see how the room that I have here in my limit is my savings account here? So then I just adjust my velocity banking, and instead of getting done in 6 months, I'm done in 7. Is that good or good? Okay, so there's a couple of rules that you have to follow. We all love rules. Rule number 1, right? Your lines of credit are now for emergencies, right? That's priority. Rule number 2, debt pay down. And rule number 3, or assets. At any point, did we go buy big screen TV? At any point, are we going to use the credit card to go on a vacation to Hawaii? Wait a minute. Over here.
What is your first aid? One is what?
Emergencies.
Emergencies, debt, and then assets.
Yes. Right? We use our lines of credit as a tool. Okay? Now, I have a problem here. My line of credit. You see the problem? It's gone. I've completely wiped out all of that debt. You see why that's a problem? Who here knows why that's a problem? I started off with the 3 criteria needed to do velocity banking. Oh, but on this line, I don't have any more debt on this line. I need to, because here's what's going to happen, folks. We're Americans. What happens when all of a sudden my $15,000 credit limits, which were maxed out, are now zeroed out? Right? And then that is the opposite thing you should do, right? Which is why we need to look, follow our rules. Are there any emergencies that need to be paid for? God, I hope not, but if there are, we'll take care of that first. Number 2, is there any other debt that we can start managing right now? The loans. So, a couple of ways to look at this. We could attack the auto loan first because it's a lesser amount, which would then free up more cash flow. Or we're looking at, well, that's only 5%, that's 6%, so I'm bleeding from here the worst, so I could attack that one, right? It's up to you to decide which strategy best to go, but I would consult with somebody who supremely understands and utilizes this strategy all the time. This team is full of people that utilize very successfully these sweet strategies. Now, here's the great thing that's going to happen. In a 6 to 9 to 12 month period of time, can I go ahead and give the bank a call and see if I can get an interest rate reduction, or could I get my limit increased? They might. Could it actually happen to me without me even asking? It could if I'm in a situation where I'm keeping my utilization under 50%. Are we doing that here? We're getting it under 50%? Yeah. It could happen in a situation where I'm using the line of credit every month. Does the bank want to make money every month? Right? So a credit line that I have that I don't use can't help me, right? So I'm using it every month. What if I'm paying it down more than I'm using it every month? Are those all things that might make me an excellent candidate from the bank's perspective of saying, you know what? We like how you work. You play well with our friends. Let's give you some more friends to play with, right? You're like, yay, okay. So then you go from having a $15,000 limit to a $25,000 limit, right? How cool is that? Now remember when we saved up that $10,000? Oh man, it was like climbing a mountain. As you can tell, I don't climb very many mountains. So that was like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. So then you get there. And you know what happens when you finally get to the point where you save $10,000? You guys, you should see it. They show up, the bank shows up, and they come out, and there's people with balloons, and there's confetti, and there's this big, huge cardboard check, and they're running up to your door, right? And the camera crews are there, and they knock and say, hey, congratulations. You saved $10,000. We're giving you another $10,000, right? No? I thought maybe it happens here. You guys have great banks here in Hawaii. I was just seeing if they did anything like that. No, they don't do that, do they? But if you use a line of credit the right way, are they going to give you another $10,000 of OPM to leverage and use? Is that good? Is that good? Okay, so now at $25,000, $25,000 line of credit. Now we got to keep in mind that we don't want to utilize that whole line of credit, right? This is a personal line of credit, right? We got to stay under what percentage utilization? Got to at least stay under 50. It'd be ideal to stay under 30, right? It'd be even better to stay under 15, right? But, okay, let's just say we're going to stay under 50, okay? Because we've got to utilize this line of credit to eliminate our debt. There's other strategies with utilizing lines of credit to grow your credit score. That's where you start getting under the 30% mark. But right now, we just want to stay under 50% utilization. So all of this has been swept away. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get $13,000. We're going to take $13,000. Now, if this is a line of credit, I can just pull the cash right out at an interest rate, right? If this is a credit card, I've got to get a cash advance, right? I'm showing you this example as if we're pulling money out of a line of credit. Got it? So I'm pulling $13,000 out. Now, it took how long to pay off $12,000? 6 months. Now I've got $13,000, and I'm going to make a principal-only payment right here on this house, on this home loan. Right? Remember, we're 5 years into it. I'm going to throw $13,000 in principal-only payment on that house. All right? How long is it going to take me to pay that $13,000 off? 6.5 months. Just so you know, I already did the math. I'm within like a couple of dollars. It's going to cost you $1,480 in interest, right, over that 6.5 months to pay off that $13,000, right? Okay. Now, you guys remember over here? In 5 years, 60 months, we paid it down $13,800. Right, but I rounded down, okay? Remember that? Yes? And it cost how much in interest?
$59,000.
$59,000. All right, let's take a look at this. $13,000 here. Do you see $13,000 here? Okay, this got paid off in 6.5 months. Do you see how long it took that over here? 60 months. Over here, it costs $59,000 in interest. Over here, it costs $1,480 in interest. All right, you guys following along? Not only is it faster, but do you see that it's cheaper? Cheaper to do it that way. More cost effective, right? Is that good? I mean, look at what happened here. So if I put $13,000 principal-only payment here on this amortization schedule, what did I just do? I got into my DeLorean and I went back to the future, right? I traveled in time, and look what happened. I skipped over all of that interest. Do I have to pay that? Do I have to make that up? No. No, the whole amortization schedule is recalculated for where I'm at. Now, do I have to stop there? Could I just do it again? Right? Do we do another 13K? Do we do it again? And again? In this example, right? 5 years later, you've paid off the entire house. So the first 5 years, right? We did it the bank's way. And I paid down my principal $13,000 and paid the bank $59,000. Right? The next way, we did it velocity banking, and we paid off the rest of the entire mortgage in 5 years, and we saved ourselves like over $10,000 in interest. Is that good or good?
Awesome.
Guys, we're not even talking about all the benefits that come with using credit cards. When you use credit cards like this, do you get points? Perks? Right? What's happening to my personal credit score? through the roof, right? Guys, that's velocity banking, because what we just showed you with the home loan, can we, well, I mean, it's 5 years later, we probably are trading those cars in for new ones. Do velocity banking, but now, when we eliminate that mortgage, we're eliminating that payment. So now, my cash flow, do you see that? What happened to my cash flow? It went up. So if my cash flow is bigger, what does that do to the speed at which I pay down my debt now? It goes faster. And then once the car gets paid off, right? Now, I'm at $3,800 in cash flow. Is that cool? Now I'm in a situation, this is 5, 6 years. I'm doing this, I'm like 5.5, 6 years into doing velocity banking. And I'm completely debt free. You guys see the problem with that? Yes, I have no debt. That is a problem. Can I do velocity banking without debt? I need debt. Well, let's follow our rules. Back to the rules, folks. Do we have any emergencies?
Yes.
Let's hope not. No more debt? No more debt. Time to buy assets. What's an asset?
Anything that makes you money.
Something that makes you money. Right, what did you say? A fix and flip could be. An asset, as I define it, is something that you own that makes you money just because you own it. You know, would a rental be considered an asset? I don't know, Richie, would you consider a rental an asset? Ray, would you consider your new nightly rental an asset?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Something that they own that makes them money because they own it. I mean, there are other kinds of assets, but I mean, let's get real. I mean, we're a real estate investing group. Which kind of assets are we going to talk about here? All right, we're going to talk about real estate. Okay. Guys, this is velocity banking, and now what are we going to do? Well, we've got this home that we own. We got our income coming in. We're going to go get ourselves one of these. We're going to get a HELOC or a HELO. Which one do we want? We want a HELOC. Okay, we want to get ourselves a HELOC. Is that amortized or is that simple?
Simple.
It's simple. Okay, is it one directional or is it revolving? Revolving. Oh, so we really like HELOCs, don't we? Now, different banks, you know, you can get, 70 to 80% LTV. I don't know, what is it, 200% here in Hawaii? I don't know what your banks I've seen some credit unions give 90% LTV occasionally to people that have excellent financials. But let me ask you something. If you're following this example, what are your financials going to be like?
Pretty good.
You're going to have really good financials. You're definitely going to have to do some research with your banks and credit unions to see what works best for you. But let's take our $200,000 house. Now this is the loan that was carried on it, which means that if it was a traditional loan, it was worth $220,000, and you had to put $20,000 down, right? So now we have a value of a home. I know you can always say appreciation always goes up, but let's be conservative. $220,000 house. What is a 90% LTV? Come on now. 220 times
180.
198.
198. What? 198,000. What could we do with a $198,000 line of credit? Could we buy one house? Not here in Hawaii.
You can buy a couple houses just with a down payment.
But if you were in Tucson, could we buy a house? Could we buy more than one house?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure you could. If we were in Illinois, Could we buy like a whole subdivision?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The Midwest thing, and houses are really cheap. So if you adjusted these numbers for Hawaii, just add zeros, right? You know, what could we do with a nice, you know, a $500 home equity line of credit? Could we buy a house here in Hawaii? Now, do we need to put all the money towards one house? Is there an educational system out there that would teach us how to purchase houses subject to the existing financing that's in place? Is there an education out there that might teach us how to purchase a house that somebody owns free and clear through what's called a contract for deed? What if somebody owes money on it, on their mortgage? Is there an education out there that would teach us how to do an all-inclusive trust deed, or what's called a wrap? What about land contracts? What about options? Right? There's so many different creative acquisition strategies where you can take control of property with little to no money, right? And then you're using this money wisely to service, right? You're using this is cash, right? Cash flow or you're using this as the cash in my previous example to pay the leveraged money. So, in Tucson, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could use $198,000 to, with strategies like subject to and contract for deeds and wraps, any type of seller financing, creating notes or things like that, which is all taught in the Renaissance education, we could use that to get into about 10 homes, all right? Now, there's going to be financing that's in place, and there's going to be debt that has to be paid. Do we want to take on all that debt and make all that payment? Sure. Well, yeah, but I want somebody else paying it.
Well, no.
Yeah. Could I take my $198,000 and do some, put in some new carpeting, paint, change out some fixtures, and then put some tenants into these properties, and use the rent money that I make off of the tenant to pay down these properties for me? Then on top of all of that, can I use my $3,800 plus whatever cash flow I'm making on the rent? Let's be conservative and say I'm bringing in an extra $3,200 in rent checks. I mean, not in rent checks, in net, in my cash flow, after the money I receive after everything's paid. So I put tenants in all those houses, right? They're paying all the debt on there. And on top of that, I'm making some extra money. Now, the cash flow that I've already freed up, combined with the rental income coming off the properties, do you see how I could have even more cash flow? I could have $7,000 a month. What could I do with that cash flow? We could do velocity banking, right? Have we just now picked up a whole bunch more debt? Now before, when I was paying off a $200,000 loan with only $2,000 of $200,000 or $2,000 of cash flow, it took about 5 years. Now in this example, I have like almost 4 times that amount of money. How long is it going to take me to start paying off one house at a time if they're all roughly around the same price? Right? 2 years? Maybe less? And then each house I pay off, does that increase my overall cash flow? And so then I grow my cash flow? In this example, it could take me another 7 to 10 more years to pay all of those off using velocity banking. Or maybe I only need to pay off a few of them, right? What if I just pay off a few of them or pay them down pretty low? Can I sell off half to then pay off? So I sell off these to pay off these. and then I own 5 houses free and clear, could I do that? The cash flow coming off of the houses, that would be more than enough. If I own 5 houses, rental homes free and clear, and the average rent coming off that house is, nationwide average is $1,200. What's that come up to? $6,000 a month? Do I have to work my job anymore?
Fire your boss.
Do I have to work this job anymore? If I love my job, I love what I do, sure. But if I don't want to, I don't have to. Yes, that's velocity banking. Was that good?
Yeah.
I think it's time for a break. You guys need a break? Richie? How much time do they get?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right, go get them. Yes.
So, how if you pay everything off, like you have then in your credit. So would it be better to apply for anything off one still have the tiny bit of more than that? Because it shows you the length of credit, length of your account.
Now, that happened with the latest change to the FICO 9 scoring model. For the purposes of calculating mortgages and second mortgages or loans, they look for that transactional history, that carried balance. It's because the bank gets to make sure that it's going to make money.
Right.
I mean, the bank makes its rules because they're pushing back against stuff. So you're right. So the best thing to do is to apply for it right before.
Yeah, get it just before it's low, and then make your application work out.
It would probably still work with a 1 to 2% right in there, debt left over property. But once you go below that, it's probably. Yes.
I have a
You like my Picasso?
yeah. Often the example is like, yeah, a job that you know how much money you bring in, but like, is there any, thought
It's usually, they just default straight to
Okay, the monkey day is good. It is. It's really good.
So if you're looking at your profit and loss statement for the year, when you come up with.
That's just a teaser.
You've been in business for a while, you understand your cycle, right? There's the lean season and then there's like, so we want to be adjustments based off of your own stats, but if the income isn't coming in to do it, what most people see. I showed an example where we did this every single
Round and shapes.
Yes, there's that cash flow. And then you don't do is that so if you didn't put it on hold, so you pick up the, next
yeah,
rate.
because
Does that look like?
Absolutely.
No. Just on that
Just in case you need sustenance.
Yeah, they do that talent that's down there. So Richie, what I want you to do is, whenever you meet with these folks again, you just all the mistakes that I made and set everybody right on the truth. Okay? This is very, very, very standard way. Yeah.
So close because we went to all of our long-term, was
saying, maybe it's better to apply for the HELOC because you have a little bit of that. It's not. I know, but it shows that you still have that account in place. Whereas we went up both of our mortgages and you're like, you have no length of accounts. You're like, we just paid off for things. Does it matter?
What if you get everything around it? They want to get around it. Or you can get it out.
Oh, really? Okay, so it wouldn't matter.
That's whatever's going to you.
No, I mean,
Right, this was a strategy that started in Australia, New Zealand, moved out to Japan, Orange Islands, came to Rishi here in Hawaii, and the rest of the world. So, you know, my boss did.
Because they call them like in Australia, they call them.
He does, is he goes.
No, they call them something else. Because I met with a bunch of Australians. I worked this thing and they were like, oh yeah, you call those blah blah blah. I go, oh yeah, that's the name.
They call it all these different when I spoke to it's a soup.
Right.
But the thing is, though, what I learned in economics was how to
This guy is.
He's so zen. Yeah.
and for business.
Right.
That's what I learned.
Hi, dear. Oh, wow. Still sorted it, huh? No. Oh, my God.
I'm like thinking, what can I do now to
Yeah.
some extra ID?
Yep. Plenty.
It's your first time ever been exposed to velocity banking?
Yep. I know, right? Right?
Really? Really?
Yeah, it is. I was like, whoa, I didn't even pay for that information.
No, Richie, the student loan debt, he was able to pay that off in 6 months. 3 to 6 months because of that strategy.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
So if you're doing those calculations though, and one with your business, you wouldn't be putting all your cash, it would be like 2 different things, right? Because you have your cash flow of your business and sweeping down this thing, and then you have your personal stuff. I know it makes them crazy. But you know, you have
You're
to.
going to graduate to separating and now you have your personal velocity accounts and business velocity accounts. Do your managing your home.
Right.
So you have your business checking account or even one.
Right, so we'll be doing this and it'll be just 2 separate.
Wow. Yeah, that was a lot.
That's what I'm like.
And then you want to
Just keep track of all.
and if you have your business borrow some money from you, make sure that there's a note.
Paper trail.
Roxanne. This is Ray and Joseph. Yes. Thank you.
Question? His mind is like going.
It's kind of mingling because I have a business but then I took it out of my name I work numbers, but so I checked. So this is my consumers and essential.
Where'd you get them? Okay. We need to go switch.
Now you have some cushion. I mean, I can use this.
What is it, T-Mobile doesn't work on texting? You change the code to friends T-Mobile version. Does that yeah, what do you want here? Which one? Shut up. I like the way that oh, there's no more. I know, there's going to be a close. So the game is that's all I know. It was like last year. They made it. Although I did really enjoy Super Bowl. All of it is yeah. But I go for a while. From that moment to where you come up there. Now, back then it was sold out every time. It's fun to go through like now it's just kind of different. But now the big one is the preseason. We have the Rams for 5 years. And one of the preseason for the next 5 years. And it was sold out. So, but the Pro Bowl used to be, you know, here for every year to sell, you know, like 10 for 80 so I just think it's that time. It was sold out every year.
No, we sent it to Facebook.
It was a politician bowl. That's like but that's got that's what high school does. Is that played here or not? That one's a little more popular. It's my process.
All right, folks, we're going to get started. All right, pick up the brain matter that's left on the floor. Try and squeeze it back in. All right. So that was pretty amazing stuff. Now we're going to talk about cold fusion, how to generate a limitless supply of energy and money for the rest of your life. All right, folks. This is really awesome stuff. Okay, this is what I call basic velocity banking. Just basic. This is the simplest level. Okay, like if you guys have martial arts out here, right? This is the white belt level of velocity banking. All right. When you start working with Richie, right, they start doing the black belt level of velocity banking, advanced stuff. We're going to cover a little bit of some advanced stuff today, but let's go back to our example. When we started looking at making adjustments to our budget to see where we could free up funds and create cash flow, do you remember what that starting cash flow for us in this example was?
0.
All right, that was the starter, but once we made our adjustments, how much cash flow did we free up initially? 600, and then what was the next one that we got to? 2,000, right? Correct? Yes? Okay. Let's pretend we're there, okay? In our minds, let's go back to that point. If I'm able to do that, okay, now you guys have access to some pretty amazing financing here, but we're talking about lines of credit, right? Folks, think about this. How much does that top package of Renatus cost? Anybody remember?
$19,994.
Say again?
997.
Right. $19,997. Right? Kind of like saying 20,000 except minus $3, right? Okay, so take that for a moment. If there was a way for you to gain access to a line of credit at, let's say, 0% interest for, I don't know, 18 to 24 months. Is there any product out here like that, Richie? Where the month's different? Is it 12 to 18?
Oh yeah, what are we looking at? Sorry.
Is there any introductory rate for a credit card or line of credit here at 0% interest?
No, it's 0. Credit cards.
Credit cards is at 0%.
Right.
Right. So I'm just going to talk credit cards, right? The white belt level, okay? You know, you go to him for the black belt level of personal lines of credit. With, I think I heard 640 credit scores, stated income, getting access to 20,000 at what, 5.9%? Can I come live here with you guys? That's awesome. Okay.
You lost at 2.25%.
He locks at 2.25%. We don't have anything like that back in the mainland. Right?
2.75 for 3 years.
And we're all the states. We're all the United States. All 49 of us, plus Hawaii. All right. Okay. Well, let me talk to you about credit cards. So credit cards are offered at 0% interest, right? They have introductory rates like that. It's not uncommon to go through a company like mine or other companies that can work with you on your personal side and find you 20,000 or more in introductory rates on credit cards, right? So what would happen if you had a personal credit card. You have, well, actually, you probably have about 5 or 6 of them, with totaling about 20,000, right? 20,000, okay? And you purchased that Renatus Education. Oh my goodness, would that not throw off your utilization? That'd be crazy. Right, but if we use velocity banking, remember we have the $2,000 cash flow here. How long would it take me to pay off that $20,000, the $2,000 month cash flow? How long? 10 months. At what percent interest? 0% interest for 12 to 18 months, let's say. We're trying to be conservative here. If you could use other people's money for 0% interest for 12 to 18 months and use your own velocity banking to pay that all off, I ask you, what then did the Renatus Education cost you? Whoa! Did you hear what she said? Say it louder so they can hear you. Nothing. Guys, I just want you to know that there really is nothing stopping you from getting started with this group and changing your life. With eliminating all of your debts in the next 7 to 10 years, I'm saying all of your debt, eliminating all of that, would that be a game changer for you? Yeah. What would it be like to free up enough cash flow in your life to afford to get into rental properties and have other people pay for your way of living, your lifestyle for the rest of your life? Awesome. Would that be awesome? Is that doable? Can we use, is velocity banking just a strategy to eliminate debt? And there's too many people that look at it as that way. Oh, well, that's just a debt reduction strategy. Yeah, I don't really have any debt. I don't need. It's like everybody needs velocity banking, right? If you're a fish and you're in water, you need water. Okay. If you're a human being, you breathe. You need air and velocity banking. That's what you have to do, right? Thank you. All right. So I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine. His name is Max. All right. Poor old Max. He came to my training. He saw white belt level velocity banking. Here's Max right here. Him in his house, right? And Max is set. He wants to do velocity banking. He wants to get a HELOC on his house. He wants to rule the world, right? But he can't. Because his credit score is a negative 850. Right? Sorry to say. Right? DTI. What's that stand for? Debt to income. Income ratio. That's a percentage of how much of your income goes towards servicing your debt. His is at 200%. Right? Poor Max. That's why he said his utilization, if he even is allowed to have any credit cards, right? Percentage of how much of your credit. He's well over 100%. Over 100%. Yeah. I mean, he's probably more like 1,000%. Right? Here's Max. He sees my training. And I tell him he's got to get educated. He needs the Renatus education. He needs the full education, 2 days worth, full days of classes. He needs to consult limit. Woo-hoo. But if he's equally spread out his $12,000 balance over all 4 of his cards, that means he's carrying a $4,000 balance. You guys following along? See that? He's thinking to himself, okay, I can do this. I don't need no stinking sweep strategy. I got this. So he sits there and he says, you know what? I'm going to take this income over here I'm gonna throw it all down on that credit card. Boom! I'm gonna take it out. So what happens to a $4,000 credit card balance when you decrease it by $4,000? What's the new balance?
Zero.
Zero. Hey, life is good, right? But let's keep in mind that Max here, right? Forgot to write his name in case you forget. This is Max, right? He's been maxed out for over 2 years, right? So what does the bank do to celebrate seeing that credit card balance decrease? They drop the limit down to $1,000. You guys feel his pain?
Yeah.
Oh.
He just threw.
Has this actually happened to real life human beings? Yes. That's why we say you gotta get educated. You gotta work with professionals in your life, all right? You just don't start playing around with velocity banking, right? So, if you're using credit cards, right? There's a difference between lines of credit and credit cards, right? If you're using a credit card where the utilization on that card has been 80% or more for over 12 months, the bank in the fine print has the option, but does not always exercise it, but has the option to decrease your limit at their choice at any time. That's in the fine print that you sign. So, Max, like most people, he didn't read every single word in the fine print. Or he didn't read any of the fine print, so he didn't know that. And so he says to me, Joseph, that rotten son of a beep. He's like, that velocity banking, that stuff doesn't work. You're full of beep. And I'm like, no. I told you you needed to get educated. And guess what? You decided you didn't want to pay for that education, so now you're paying for that education. Catch the double meaning there? Okay. So this is a situation that folks run into, and you need to be very careful when doing velocity banking. Don't run out there and go try it all on your own without consulting professionals or without getting educated. Do I have your understanding about this? Shake your head, yes. But you didn't shake your head. Oh, yeah, you did shake your head. Okay. I'm just teasing. Okay, so what are Max's options? What can he do? He could go, like, move to Canada, change his name, right? He could, I mean, who knows what other options are? Fake his death and then come back as somebody else. I don't know. But if he wants to do the ethical, legal, moral thing, he's going to figure out a way to do velocity banking, but he needs to do it in a smart way. I propose one option could be using business credit. Oh, hey, here's a time. Who here learned about business credit this morning, right? Now, business credit, should we go and do that without, all on our own, without working with professionals or getting educated? No, we shouldn't do that either. But here's Max. So let's say Max, he's like, okay, I give up. I realize the error of my ways. I'm going to get educated. Right? And that's how it happens, right, Richie? They go out, and then they always come back. So they come back, and we're like, okay, we're now taking you through the ropes. And so he takes his education, gets into his essentials, takes tax and legal, and he realizes he needs to start a what?
Business.
A business, yes. So he starts himself a business. And this is a storefront, okay? That's what it's meant to be. A bus and nest. All right, he starts a business. Now, what are the 3 challenges that every business faces? Well, let's put it this way. According to the Bureau, or not the Bureau, what is it, the SBA, there are 3 reasons why 90% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. Number 1 reason. Can you guys guess? cash flow. Duh. Right? Number 2, credit. Number 3, collateral. Now, that's what every business needs to thrive and succeed, to gain access to future loans and access to business partnerships. Within the Renatus education, do they teach any type of cash flow strategy at all? Yeah, okay. Is there any type of education within the Renatus education that shows you how to build and grow and maintain personal and business credit? Yes. And I don't know, does Renatus at all teach anything about gaining any type of collateral at all? All right, so Max is getting educated and he's learning about all these different ways that he can get what his business needs. Cash flow, credit, and collateral. That's what his business needs. But up here personally, he's just drowning in debt and misery, and his finances are like a car accident in slow motion, headed over the financial cliff. Okay, so what's Max gonna do? Well, Max starts his business and he says, okay, I'm gonna take Megan Christensen's class on business credit. And I learned it, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what my business needs. My business needs credit. And with that credit, I'm gonna get me some more cash flow and collateral. But you know what? Max is also smart, and he's like, I'm not gonna make the mistakes I made before. I'm not gonna do it all by myself. I'm gonna hire the professionals to do it. So he goes and gets himself some business credit with, I don't know, let's say he chooses, let's me pick somebody at random. Wise guys in ties. Let's say he goes with wise guys. All right? So in the next 6 to 12 months, working with the professionals, he gains access to $50,000 in lines of corporate credit. Right? Not LOC, LOCC, corporate credit. Is corporate credit different than personal credit?
Yes.
Bittersweet Bippy. But yeah. So, corporate credit. How much emphasis do we place on utilization with corporate credit? 0. How much emphasis do we place on inquiries? 0. What if, how much does it hurt you to open up brand new lines of corporate credit? 0. Okay, so getting access to $50,000 in lines of corporate credit, if you've done the right way, is a mix of vendor credit, store credit, fuel, fleet credit, and cash credit. Does that sound familiar? I think I heard that somewhere today. Yeah. Ray was talking about that. That's right. So, now of this $50,000 here, right, approximately $25,000 of that is going to be an unsecured cash credit. Right? What does that mean? Visa, MasterCard, right? $25,000. Now, up here, what's going to happen is Max's business is going to extend a $25,000 loan to Max, and it's going to put it in a lien position on the house. I like to call it like your business giving yourself a HELOC, or the HELOC. A couple of different ways to do this. And there's different levels of benefit to it. So I'm going to talk about the first level. First level is the left hand, which is the business, gives the right hand, which is the personal side, the money in a loan, draws up the paperwork and everything, legitimizes it, and then the right hand pays the left hand, back the loan over time. Now, how does that work out? Well, what happens is Max takes that $25,000, say $13,000, one of the cars, and he takes all of the credit card debt over there, wipes that out, right? Using his velocity banking, that $25,000 is paid off in 11 months. At $2,000 being paid down with $3,000 of expenses going up. All right? And, well, in this example, can we just do that again? Right? Can we just do that again and again? We legitimize it by having the business write what's called a promissory note. Right? Promissory note. For collateral, right? You could say the house is there. But I mean, is the business gonna foreclose on his own house? No. So most likely it's just gonna be an unsecured private note. Now, over time of using that line of credit, does Max have to worry? He doesn't have to worry about that utilization, right? We already covered that. So he's benefiting by sweeping out debt every 11 months at $25,000. I mean, the total amount of debt that he's in was 226,000. Did I do my math right here? Hold on, no. It was 26 there, 6, 7, 8, 38, and 30. $238,000. That's his total debt. And he's sweeping away $25,000 chunks of that in every 11 months. Do you guys see how quickly he's going to get out of debt using his business lines of credit? Okay. When that happens, what happens to his utilization? It's too high right now, but what happens when he starts using the plus? It goes down. What happens to the debt to income ratio? Goes down.
Credit score goes up.
And the credit score goes up. Now, it doesn't happen exactly the way we did with velocity banking, because remember, this is given over as a business line of credit. It's a promissory note, but it's not given over in the terms of a loan. It's given over in the terms of a line, which means you need to hire for yourself an accountant, right? What's the accountant going to do? He's going to account for what's called your payment processing. Every time, I mean, basically what are you doing? You're giving a line of credit from the business to the personal side. If you don't account for these transactions, it'll look like you're commingling funds. So the payment processing point, which is right here, payment processor, right? Put an accountant there. But the accountant is going to run that as a line of credit. There is going to be, principal, there's going to be the interest, and so they're going to basically take the statements that are coming in on the business side, managing the principal and the interest balances, and keeping track of it here. So every time you, on the personal side, you're using that corporate credit card for what appears to be personal expenses, you're actually filling out the terms of your promissory note that's being pushed through the payment processor, which is the accountant managing those books, showing that. Oh, and another thing, all these credit cards here, you create an additional card, right? The business has its own corporate credit card, and then you ask for it to issue you a secondary card in your name, your wife's name, or somebody like that. And that gives the additional extra accounting for the accountant to show, okay, here's the corporate account. This is what's used for business expenses. Here's the secondary user account, which is using that for the terms of the promissory note. All right? This is advanced level stuff. Can Max just say, I don't need educated, I don't need any professionals, I'm just going to figure this out on my own? No. No, that wouldn't be very unwise. So that's the first level way to handle this. But do you see how in doing this, Max, instead of putting the money over to there, sends his money directly to the business via the payment processor, right? The payment processor isn't handling or touching the money, but the payment processor has access to the checkbooks, has access to all the accounts, and is watching the transactions move from personal bank accounts to business bank accounts and back and forth, right? And they're keeping the ledger, you know, all right, and on both sides, right? What good accountants do. Now, this is creating cash flow for the business, not income. Gross cash flow coming in, right? Bank statements will show gross cash flow. P&Ls, tax returns, will not show this as income, that's just revenue. But then credit. Every month, is the business getting transactional history? Right? It's being used every month. So the business credit is growing. And then collateral. Well, the business isn't growing collateral in this case because it's not securing to anything. But with the business credit growing, the business can have more cash flow and credit to invest in collateral. Yes? Oh yeah, all questions? What was it? Go ahead.
So, is there a law or anything on the interest that you have to charge for something like this when your business is charging to your personal?
It's a good question. No. You could make that interest free if you want, but I mean, again, I'm not an attorney, CPA, right? But if you want to show that your business is making money, then charge yourself some interest. That way you have something to report, right? You want to be growing your income. But if you're in business startup mode and you haven't quite arrived yet, it's okay to be taking write-offs and claiming zero in this case. Because Max, in his situation, what's more critical to him? That the business really grows right now and is showing a profit, or that he gets out of debt? He gets out of debt, right. So, did that answer your question, sir? All right. So, in the first example I gave you, Max is doing really well. The business is doing really well. Took care of 2 out of 3 of the business's financial needs. And we really took care of all of Max's personal needs, right? Over the course of, let's see, what's 2,000 or 238,000 divided by 25,000? What was that? And then
What's the numbers?
9 what? 9.52, so let's round up. So 10 times. So in about 9 years, a little under 9 years, he's wiped out all of his debt. I mean, completely. I mean, that's if he doesn't do anything. Do you think he maybe during this time he could do some real estate investing, some marketing, something, create another stream of income? All right. Now, before, he had no chance of doing any velocity banking at all. Right? Did you see that? Okay. So here we are. So that's the first method of doing velocity banking with business credit. But now, Max, he's doing much better now. In fact, let's look at Max. Let's look at Max. Oh, look at how happy Max is. Isn't that great? He's out of debt. His credit score is up. You know what he's decided to do? He's decided to go ahead and use that excellent business score to give his business a personal guarantee. During the time while this financial arrangement was going on, During the time that this was going on, he's growing his lines of credit to about $250,000. This is just from the lines of credit that were being used to wipe out the debt. So the personal guarantee comes in and just doubles that. Whoa! Could an excellent business credit, personal credit score double a business's ability to gain access to corporate credit? Yes, it can, because now the business, look at this, before the business credit is established, your business is like this teenager. You gotta go co-sign for the car loan, you gotta go co-sign on his first lease or something like that. But once he's established, the business has established himself and shows that it can pay all of its bills on time, becomes its own reputable, legitimate, credit-worthy entity. And so, excellent credit-worthy business decides to co-sign with an excellent personal business credit-rated person, and they get access to double the amount. So now, here we are. What can Max now do with $500,000 in corporate lines of credit? That's just lines of credit. Oh man, we're going to be covering 27 other different things that you can do with business credit and access that you can gain. Oh man, you didn't go over that long laundry list, did you? Man, I don't have time to go over all this. But that's definitely day 2 stuff that we're going to cover tomorrow. But here's what you can do: second level business credit with velocity banking. Here, with the payment processor, here's what we're going to put in place here. We're going to get a title company. We can still have the payment processor. We just got both. Now, if you have a title company that's willing to process payments on a private mortgage note with terms of a line of credit, then you could run all of this through there. All of the payments through the title company. Right? So you're going to be setting up, it's called a private mortgage note. Private mortgage note. You're going to put that in second lien position if there's already a first mortgage in place. But how would we do this? Why would we do this? This happens when there is a property out there that's maybe in another entity that's being set up. Maybe he's partnering with somebody. Is it easy to get a HELOC on a rental property that you don't live in? Can you get a HELOC on that kind of a deal?
Yeah.
Can you get that here?
Yeah.
We can't get that back in the mainland. All right? Why? Because in the mainland, HELOCs are for your primary residence. You can get, you can do some equity stripping through some non-recourse collateral loans on rental properties.
They give us a higher rate though on our HELOC, a little bit higher.
Really? Well, that's good. We don't have access to that. So if I have a rental property that I don't live in there, the loan to value that I can get on that is 50% of that value. Right? So that significantly is reduced, and my interest rate is higher.
I think one of our current though, didn't he bump all his properties in Illinois and he was got a HELOC? He got a HELOC on those.
No, if I'm living in a 5-plex and I get, you know, a
Although he lives here, there's a bunch of houses in Danville, and they just bumped the whole value of it, and then he became a HELOC on that.
But if you can get it, because obviously HELOCs give you higher loan-to-value rates and better interest rates. But that's not something that we get in my neck of the woods access to. So, what would we do if we were in a situation where I couldn't get actual funding for a rental property? We would create a business home equity line of credit. All right? This is where we would go through the title company and create the private mortgage note put that in second lien position. That gets filed with the county, recorded. You get if it's a deed of trust state, you get a deed of trust. If it's a mortgage state, you just have the mortgage. But then you have to process the payments. Now, again, if the title company is willing to process the payments as a line of credit, then that makes the accounting perfect, right? But not many title companies I have found want to do that. They resist that because that's a lot of work. They're like, oh no, that's too much work. So that's fine. You just still do your payment processing, right? The same way you did before, but the only difference is now you actually have a legitimate. This is a secured line of credit. It's secured by a lien or a deed of trust or mortgage in second position. What that has the effect of doing is giving you that third star, the collateral, because now your business has equitable position in a property. For a lot of you, this is like 700 level stuff. This is like, oh, I can't fit anything more in my head, it's full. Okay, but here's the point. It is doable, it is legal to, if the bank won't extend you the money or you don't even want to go through the bank, you can become the bank. Your business can become the bank. Now, your business obviously can become your own bank, but can your business become the bank for other people? Other people who can't get a HELOC? Well, you, right? I mean, you got to be careful. If you're going to lend money to somebody in second position, you better know what you're doing. You better get educated. Have we kind of thrown around that, have we impressed upon you the importance of getting educated? Does that seem like something that if you're working with these advanced financial strategies is very important? Guys, is this awesome or is this awesome?
It is awesome.
Thank you. Business credit means velocity banking means you can become, your business can become a bank that extends its own home equity lines of credit, Guys, this is a game changer because, I don't know about you, but I really want to become a bank. I mean, we can look at everything that's been up here and we can hate the banks. Oh man, banks suck, I hate the banks. At least that's what a lot of us think. Or we can just say, you know what, why? Why not just learn from them? Can't beat them, let's join them. Let's all become banks. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, I need to put up a PowerPoint presentation here real quick to close you guys out and get you on your way. I need to make sure that you all learned something today. Did everybody learn something today?
Yes.
Let there be light. Maybe?
Yeah.
At Geek Squad, I used to charge $100 an hour.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, already need to strip out, so it's $100.
Do you, if I pay you, do you report to the business credit bureaus?
Not Best Buy, remember?
Oh, that's right, Best Buy. Alrighty. What did we learn today? Let's see what we learned. Is it coming up? Can you guys see? All right. Turn that light off. Is it me?
Oh, is it, I think it's on.
Oh.
Hey, hands off.
I touched something. Sorry.
That's better.
All right. Okay, beautiful. All right, so on your business, what is a perfect business credit score? Yes. Give yourself a gold star. 100 credit score. All right, now, who are the business credit reporting agencies? What? Dun and Bradstreet, there's one. Business Experience and Equifax Small Business. Yes. Boom. All right. What affects your business credit score? Payment history. I'm going to teach you something, a very vital lesson that I learned in my days of football, where the coaches are mean and vicious and punishes you endlessly for messing up. There is a very simple rule. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late is fatal for your business, or your business credit. Folks, if you learn to pay all of these bills early, you won't have any worries. But if you wait, because it just takes if you mess up one time, how long does that stay with you? No, not forever. 3 years. 3 years. Let's not do that. Now, how long does it take to build an excellent business credit rating? I heard 6 months or 12 months. Folks, if you do this and you follow what you've learned today and you do this on your own, guarantee it'll take you at least 2 or 3 years. Right? Now, if you hire professionals to work with you, right, it could be done in as little as 6 to 12 months. Absolutely. Now, folks, how can we guarantee that we will get you $50,000 in the next 6 to 12 months for your business? Well, let's count the ways, shall we? It's really small, so I'll read it for you. When you enroll in the Business Credit Builder program, our services, right, the online web-based program combined with your financial advisors, we don't wait for you to call us, we call you every day, right, to hold you accountable, to make sure that you're doing this and to help you know what you've done, what you need to get done today, what's the next thing, right? And our loan officers that help you fill out your applications the right way, first time, right? When you enroll in a Business Credit Builder program like this, you get 24 access to your own business credit finance suite that's online, right? This comes in English or Spanish. Your business advisors that coach you through the process. You get help with your all the business name, entity, EIN setup. We give you the list of all of the prohibited names that come up that get you flagged, right? We help you find and make sure that your business name is available in any Secretary of State. We help you with your address setup, your toll-free phone setup. We help you with setting up fax numbers, getting into the 411. We help you with the setup of your website. My business partner says that you don't need a website to build business credit. That is true. But I will let you know this. It really does help a lot if you do have a website. But only, as my business partner said, if that website has all the correct information on it, right? If you say, we're business consulting, and your website shows that you're a wholesaler, is that a red flag? Yes. You've got to be consistent across the board. All right. What about licensing, online, listing compliance check? What does that mean? There's something called the LexisNexis. If you don't know what that is it's a cabal, okay? All of the public information that is on you is listed in the LexisNexis. Anytime you've ever filed for a loan, anytime you ever paid taxes, anytime you ever lived somewhere, signed a lease, right? Have you ever like gone online and you're like filling out something and they need to do some identity verification and they ask you questions like, How did they know I had that car from 20 years ago? Where are they getting that information from? The LexisNexis. So we help you by making sure that the information you're putting out there matches with what's in the LexisNexis. We help you with the setup of your bank and your merchant accounts, giving you the guidance of what to do, making sure that everything matches, or as Megan likes to say, matchy-matchy. Right. Right? The setup of business credit with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. We help you do this, right? Getting your DUNS number set up for free. Your BIN set up with Experian. Dispute and fix business credit inaccuracies. Are there going to be some business credit inaccuracies?
Yes.
Well, what do you do? Because it's not regulated. Can you complain, saying, I'm going to go tell on you? Tell who? I mean, like, how do you resolve an issue with somebody who's not even obligated to report on you correctly anyway? We help you do this the right way. The largest supply of starter vendors, including exclusive sources. So you heard Ray say you need to get at least 6 of those. 6 starter vendors. Well, who reports? If only 3 of them report, 3% report, and there's literally hundreds of thousands of businesses out there that'll give you a net 30 account, well, if you don't know where to go, that means statistically how many businesses do you need to go out to and interview to find out at least 6 that will report? 3%. What? 200. That's a lot of work. I wonder if there's anyone like, I don't know, Credit Suite, Megan, Ray, folks like that who have done the research, made the phone calls. Because I guarantee you, Ray has made a lot of phone calls. Would you like to go do that, or would you like to pay for somebody that's done the research for you? A massive selection of retail and fleet credit with no personal guarantee or credit checks, hard to find crash credit and auto financing. Folks, if you have a trucking company, or if you just have a regular company and you need a vehicle, does anybody here ever need a vehicle?
Yeah.
Right? At all? Imagine if you don't have to get the vehicle, but your business got the vehicle. That'd be awesome. Cash flow financing with bad credit, unsecured financing with 0% rates for startups, asset-based financing with rates of 2% or less, SBA loans, term loans, lines of credit, and your own finance team. Look, these are all the values associated with all those. This is what, okay, so what has Credit Suite done? But put together a mixture of financial advisors, loan officers, business coaches and experts that help you start your business the right way. If you were to hire them to do these services, that's what they charge. All right? So we put all of that, obviously we don't charge you anything like that, but that's what those services are worth, right? So when you also get started with Wise Guys and Ties, we get you $50,000 in lines of credit, you get, today we're offering these bonuses. You get a 30-minute coaching call with a business advisor. It can be with Credit Suite if you want. It could be with Ray or me if you want. But it could be with both. We could do 2 of those for you. We can do number 2, D&B and Experian monitoring for only $24 a month. Right, $24. When if you go to them on your own, Experian will charge you $50. D&B, 50, 75, sometimes 150, depending on which package you buy with them. Third bonus, business valuation report. This is critical. This is so awesome. How much is your business worth? Do you know? Do you know how much, for insurance purposes, liability purposes, how much is your business worth? Would it be useful to know how much your business is worth? If you knew what your business is worth, could you bank on your business as an asset? Absolutely. Being able to have an independent, respected, third-party analysis of what your business is worth can help you secure, through your business alone, another source of financing. So we throw that in as well. And what's really awesome is there's a 2-hour velocity banking and business credit mastermind where we're going to go over, I don't know, something like 27 different lending programs. We're specifically going to focus on 15 starter vendor options that are right here in Hawaii. Because the number one thing that I get from folks is, yeah, business credit's all well and good, but we can't find anything that works here in Hawaii. Well, when I heard that from Richie about 2 months ago, I have worked every week researching. Well, I don't have 15. I wanted to come with 15, but I came up with 9, guys. I got 9 options for you to go out and get starter vendors right here in Hawaii that you can use to immediately begin to build your business credit. Is that good or good?
They report to DMV.
Yeah. They report to DMV, Experian, and Equifax. That's worth making sure you come tomorrow night, for sure. All that bonus value, I just made up a number. I just threw it in there. 4,000. Sounded good. All right, so what does it cost to use our program? Has anybody gone to my website yet? WiseGuysInTies.com?
Internet.
Internet? Yes. Oh, no internet? Oh, guys, you would have seen on my website that our services cost $4,997. Like, but what's that all about? Okay, guys, I am partnered with Megan Christensen at Business Credit. We offer the exact same services. Ray talked about us investing $6,000. I was like, what are you smoking, man? That was like what we invested the first month. To date, we've invested $40,000 with them in our business partnership with them. I love working with Megan. Their team is awesome. Ray and I have been able to work with over 90 clients in the last year, helping them to build business credit. Anybody of you heard Kendall Stock? Yes. Have you ever heard of that name? He's one of our clients. Anybody ever heard of Brian and Wendy Bullock?
Yes.
Hey, they're one of our clients, right? We help. I mean, we don't go out and seek and solicit for this stuff, but people, when they don't realize that Megan, she goes around and she teaches a wonderful class, but she doesn't ever tell anybody that she's got this amazing business that can help you build and grow business credit. So she partners up with folks like me and others, and we help bring this message to the masses. So we do offer, and this is all on our website, a one-time cash discount. You can get our business credit services for $2,497. So that's half off right off the bat. Now, when you do get signed up with us, you get that little fob. Who got that fob earlier today? Mark. Is he gone? Are you still there? Hey, let me show you what's on this fob. All these books and CDs, isn't that cool? Here's what he got. The 9 most devastating mistakes business owners make when financing. 12 credit lines and cards you can get for your business today, right? The definitive guide to building business credit. 27 killer ways to get cash financing for your business. Man, that's one of the subject matters for tonight's mastermind. We're gonna tweak it for you guys, right? Business credit building checklist, FICO scores decoded, how to quickly obtain excellent FICO credit scores regardless of your personal credit quality now. And this isn't on the fob, but when you do get signed up, you do get our business credit book, which we've already stated has in the book itself the list of all the vendors that you can use. But you're like, well, why would I do that when I get the program? You're right. The program is going to give you everything that's most current, up to date every day, because our IT team keeps that up to date. But once we achieve an excellent business credit rating for you, we flip a little switch. Poof, off it goes. And you're like, but I wanted to have it. No, that's just how the system works. So once you obtain your goal, we've done our job. We're done. And then someone's like, but I want to do it on another business. Well, then you have to enroll in the program again for your next business. And other people are like, well, I don't want to. So Ray and I, we put together the book for the people who are like, hey, if all you need, because you already know the strategies and how to do it, is just the list of all the vendors, then just read the book. We've got it all listed out for you. So it's a great value. It's a huge help to folks that want to keep this going. So that's over a $300 value for all of these books. Were written by Ty Crandall and Stephen Weibel I told you about earlier. Several of the other the business finance experts there at Credit Suite. So you're really getting this information from the best of the best. So Wise Guys and Ties, as I said, partnership with Credit Suite. It's amazing. You get this, we offer the exact same product that Credit Suite offers. We use the exact same folks, but because we've invested with them and they're utilizing us or leveraging us to be able to access markets that they can't themselves access. This is their business credit builder program. It's all the same stuff that I just listed off before. It's the exact same services. You go to the Credit Suite website, what do you pay? $2,997. That's the one-time payment. If you want to pay for the whole thing over time, right, it's $6,000. Right, so we're able to offer you a deeper discount than what Credit Suite offers. So that's $500 savings. That's cool. All right, folks, who has yet to enter the Apple iPad drawing? Has everybody entered? Have you entered? I might be answering your question next. If your question is unanswered by the time I'm done, I will answer your question. All right, so I need you to come up with the list here.
Okay. All right, you're coming up too.
Come on up, Richie. Now, Richie, if you pull your name, you don't get to have it. Oh, I know.
Do
I get to give it to you? It's real loud, man.
How do we know if our name got in there?
Okay, we need Sophie first.
Oh, all right.
All right. Everybody say cheese.
Cheese!
Oh,
Turn the
wait,
light on.
what? I put a
Turn the light
timer on.
3, 2, 1.
Well, that was awkward.
All right. All right, drum roll, everybody. Help me out.
High tech, fancy.
And the winner is... Read it. Congratulations, as you're right. Come on up. It's real.
Wait, we gotta get a picture with you. Okay. Here, turn around. Say everybody.
Oh.
Richie, get in here.
You want to turn the light on so it's brighter?
Alright, let's get to...
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Oh man, like everyone's so happy for her, but isn't everyone else kind of like, oh. Good. Hey folks.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear how the story ended?
Well, of course you ended in a tie.
Isn't that kind of cool? Hey, before I tell you how the story ended though, I'm sorry, I had a slide in here, we had to change something up that actually got hidden. I actually do want to call Richie back up here, because you utilized the business credit, and I wanted you to share with the folks here what your experience has been working with Credit Suite.
Oh. Go, Richie.
Amazeballs. So, I saw Megan's class, and for someone who uses velocity banking as a lifestyle, my mind was just going nuts. You watch something like that, it's just so powerful. Everything that Can you give Joseph and Ray a huge round of applause? So when you put those two strategies together, it's mind-blowing stuff. And not only do the numbers work, because I'm a big fan of numbers. You know why? They don't what? Lie. They don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So when you have numbers making sense on paper and then modeling things out, and then you start implementing it, and then it starts doing everything that you planned out. Isn't that exciting when a plan actually goes accordingly, right? And even though we had a little bit of hiccups here and there, and finding out I'm on round 2 for the longest time because I didn't realize that there were business lines here locally that we could be utilizing right now. I had to wait until my business was 2 years old. That's before learning about the things that we're learning about tomorrow night. Even though it took a little delay, I stuck with it. And my paydex score is well above 80 at this point, which is, I wish we had that scale up. But if you guys understood the whole paydex score thing, that gave a very low risk, very awesome rating to my businesses, for that matter. And at this point, I was able to just open up my first Amazon account. Woo! Shelton, you were there. I was just on the computer because they're like, oh yeah, we just opened up our Amazon account. I'm like, oh, let me try. Ding! It's like $8,500 available for me to use on Amazon Business Lines. And all the other trade lines that I've opened up before that, I've been using them here and there to build a business. Like Quill, yes, they do that whole invoice split up thing. I found how to get around that, which is to order one product at a time. And using the velocity banking strategy and all the other things. But I did make a mistake. I did act on getting a business credit card before learning Megan's class and learning what they teach. So in other words, try to stay away from the Capital One Spark card if at all possible. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
That's a tomorrow topic.
Yeah, it's a tomorrow topic, okay? Try and stay away from that card as much as possible. But I did have it, and so I was like, you know what, at this point, it's there, it's a tool, I'm gonna use it. And it has done such amazing things for me. So at this point, I'm pretty much at like around the $20,000 to $25,000 availability on just the trade lines. And I also have another $25,000 available from the local banks over here at Business Lines. So not bad, right? Anyway,
all right, guys. I'm going to share with you the end of my story here, and then I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you that I've got one last thing I got to share with you before you leave, because I'm going to hopefully answer all the remaining questions that are left. All right, but guys, you want to hear how this story ends? Sure. When we last left, the score was tied, right? It was 35-all. And so, remember, this has been a parable, right? Who are you in this parable? You're Boise State. You're this business, right? You've been fighting, trying to win your championship, and now you've been sent into overtime. Your business. Does it sometimes feel like you're in sudden death mode, right? Does it feel like I don't know what we're going to do? I came here looking to see if there was some ray of hope, if there's some way that I can make this family business work, right? Well, hopefully you've seen that there is light at the end of this tunnel. So what happens? Boise State, they flip a coin to see who goes first, and it turns out that Oklahoma Sooners get to go first. Now in overtime, you start off on the other team's field. You're like only 25 yards away from scoring, and they give you 4 tries to score. So this is the Oklahoma Sooners in 2007. Their running back, his name was Adrian Peterson. And some of you heard people go, ooh, the rest of you are like, Adrian who?
I've heard of it.
Right? Okay. Adrian Peterson went on to play professional football. One of the great running backs. Now, in business, if you have somebody that is an All-American that can close the deal, that will come in for a clutch, right, and will just totally win it for you. When you're in a situation and you need to win that deal, that negotiation, who are you going to give the ball to? You're going to give it to your star player, right? First play of the game, they hand it off to Adrian Peterson, runs right down the sideline in one play and scores. Oh. That's what Boise State fans across the United States did with that moment. Like, okay, well, that's okay because we can do this. We'll give it to our running back that no one's ever heard of. And so we give it to him and we don't go anywhere. That's play one. Play two, we're going to throw the ball to a wide open receiver who just drops it. What I'm thinking. Okay, so it's third down. What does the defense know? What play is it?
Third down.
It's going to be a throw, so what is it? The defense knows they're going to throw. So they do what's called a blitz. You guys heard blitz. What's a blitz? Right? It means they send everybody. Right? So here, quarterback takes the snap, and everybody's coming on. You ever felt like when something bad happens, it all happens at one time? Like there's something, the roof breaks, that's when somebody's got to get braces. That's when another bill is due. It's like everything's all happening at the same time. I'm surrounded. What am I going to do? I'm going to be destroyed. Throw the ball away. That's all they can do. So now it's fourth down again. Now, how did we end up in this situation all over again? It seems like didn't the game just end on a fourth and forever? So Boise State takes the ball and pitches it back to their running back who's running. He's running, and before he gets up to the, gets closer, up to the line of scrimmage, which I don't know if they know what that means, the line of scrimmage, right? He throws the ball. I was like, what? Running backs don't throw the ball. What do running backs do? They run. That's the one who throws the ball to a tight end in the end zone. No one saw. Touchdown, Boise State. It's awesome. Yeah. So how much is a touchdown worth? 6 points. Right? So the score is 41-42. The coach has a very critical decision to make. Does he go for the extra point, which is worth how many? One. Or does he, which would tie the game, and then they could go into double overtime. Or does he go for the 2-point conversion, which is worth how many points? 2, and win the game. So he could play it safe and try his luck at winning in double overtime against Adrian Peterson. Good luck, right? Or he could play for the win. Well, folks, let's see what Boise State chose. They chose to play for the win. Right? They could have played it safe. All game long, they had lined up in this formation. It's called trips right. Trips. What do we mean trips? It just means trips. There's 3 receivers to the right. They've run this play several times. Every time it's a quick throw to this receiver right at the start. These 2 guys block right here, and this guy runs underneath and tries to come in for a touchdown. It's all night. It's been successful. They've been able to move about 5 yards with it all night long. So defense sees that. Look at how many people they've committed over here. They're like, you ain't getting in over here. But so let's see what Boise State chooses to do here.
Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the touchdown.
How many of you are like, what just happened? What? Okay. Is that worth a little replay? You guys want to see that again? Okay. Everybody, it's called the Statue of Liberty play. Quarterback's right-handed, which means the ball is in what hand? Right hand. So he takes the ball under center, snaps it. He keeps the ball in his left hand. Wait a minute. You can't throw the ball if you're right-handed that way. So he takes the snap, and he puts the ball right here in his hip. But he acts like he throws it this way, and the other receiver is acting like he's catching it, right? But by holding the ball right here in his hip, the running back who's just standing there goes like this, and then just takes that ball and runs for it. It's called the Statue of Liberty play. Watch it again. Enjoy.
Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won.
I'm gonna throw my. Oh, no, I don't want to throw this. This is actually. Awesome. Hey, what we're not showing you there is after that, he runs over to his girlfriend, who's like the cheerleading captain, and proposes to her on national television. Isn't that cool? I mean, hopefully she says yes. She did. All right, so let me ask you, are you going to play it safe? Or are you going to play to win? I ask you this because you can play it safe. You've been here all day. You've been learning about business credit, velocity banking. You've seen some self-directed IRA stuff. And you know what? You could go home, play it safe, and do nothing. If you do nothing, nothing will happen to you. If you're completely satisfied with your current situation, then we have nothing we can do to help you. You can play it safe, because is investing in real estate risky? Is there risk involved with doing these advanced financial strategies? Yeah, sure, you betcha. But let me ask you this. Any of you people read books or listen to biographies or go see movies about inspirational characters? Folks, tell me, if you can, what was the story or the biography or the book you read about the great moderate that inspired you? The person who played it safe that made you think, yes, that's what I want to be. All right, versus, are there stories of people who risked it all, sacrificed it all, almost lost it all for the cause of what they believed in? Are we inspired by people who set sail when they thought the world was flat and proved that it was round? Right? If they were wrong, imagine sailing your boat right off the edge. Right? Were there people, what about a young president in 1961 who said, I believe that it should be the goal of this nation to send a man to the moon and return him safely before this decade is out. 1961, the total amount of time that Americans had spent in space was 4 minutes. We had no technology, computer system, alloys, rocket technology to come anywhere close to landing on the moon. Now, what happened in 1969, July 20th, 1969? Anybody remember those words? That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Yeah? That was Neil Armstrong on Apollo 11. Were there astronauts and support staff that lost their lives during the mission to figure out a way to make that happen? Yes, is being an astronaut a very risky job? Test pilots flying planes like that? But are we not inspired? Wasn't that like one of the greatest accomplishments that mankind ever achieved? Was to land a man on the moon? Okay, so I'm just saying, there's risk involved here. I get it, I know it. The worst thing for you to do is to play it safe, folks. You will never be successful in business or in life if you play it safe. Get outside your comfort zone. Take a risk. Play for the win. Because when you do, you will experience life at a tempo not ever before realized by other people who sit there and play it safe. They play it safe and life passes them by. Don't let that happen to you. And for those of you who are looking for an opportunity to play with us, with the team here in Oahu, with Richie and all the gang that's here, you have a chance to experience life at a tempo never before realized in your life. And you can do that by getting started with Renatus. It's not as hard as you think. The cost is not as scary as you think. The hardest part is to get over your fear. Get over your complacency and really dare to win, dare to dream. And I leave you with this. For those of you who want to get started with us, we want you to make sure that you're started, of course, with the team here. Get yourself educated, know what you're doing. Those who want to play to win with us, here's what we're going to do. Because Richie and, well, really Christian, George, and Bob said I really can't offer any of that at that price for you guys. So we have a special Oahu discount today. Today only, if you fill out these forms that are in front of you, you can get the Business Credit Builder with Christensen's Business for $1,776. That number should ring a bell, shouldn't it? 1776. Do you want today to be the day that you declare your financial independence? Folks, you can do that. Not only can you get it for that discount, right, today, if you fill out your form and leave that with either me or Ray Fleming, or you can leave it with Richie. But here's what you get. If you're not sure right now, there's a lot you're processing. I get it. You can fill out the form and tell us to give you a call, right? Because maybe you got to go home and talk to a loved one, right? A business partner. I get it. But don't leave here, because anybody who leaves here without giving us the form does not get that price. However, I happen to think it's still a great deal at $2,497. But I want you guys to succeed. And for those of you who are like looking at all this and you're not sure and you're thinking, maybe I want to start with that book. What's that book cost? I've been asked that all day today by people coming back. Hey, what's that book cost? That book you saw on Amazon, $250. What?
It's $190 something for $100 something.
$197, folks, today. Right? Anybody want to get that program? You want all the information? I recommend that you use professionals, but there are some of you that are stubborn and you're going to do it yourself anyway. Look, do it the right way. At least get the right information so you don't harm yourself. And we will credit you when you do come back to us, because everybody comes back to us for help. We will credit you that $250 towards your Business Credit Builder. All right? I want to thank you so much for having us out. All right? If you want to be a part of that group, mastermind tomorrow night, you've got to be a part of this team, right? You got to get the book, or you got to get the program, right? Because we're going to go over what's called proprietary information. I can't give it any of the information tomorrow night. I can't give it to you if you're not already a part of this program. All right? So if you're like right there on the cusp and you're like, man, I want to learn how to get started right here in Hawaii, then you need to make a decision. And you need to make a decision before you leave. All right? Is there anything that you want to say, Richie, before we break?
No.
All right, folks, thank you. Mahalo. Thank you so much for letting us come. God bless you. Oh.
I love I will do that all day.